What's up, everybody? How you doing today? Close that out. Close this out. I hope you're all doing well. I know I am. I saw some people asking how William's doing. He's doing well. He's back in daycare today, thankfully. So we should be able to have a good stream that is uninterrupted this time. So, yeah, we have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot, man. Hunter, debate me. Oh my god. Roscoe Ducks. I will admit that you're really great content, and every time I post clips of us debating, I get a fuck ton of views on TikTok. But I cannot have another conversation with you, okay? You're 15 years old. You're very lost when it comes to gay issues. I'm not having another conversation with you. We have literally debated 3 times. I can't keep doing this. I'm glad the family is well now and you didn't get sick. I know, man. It's that Sigma immune system, like I said. Can I talk about gay people with you? No. No. Michael, some of your video essays are pretty good, but no, I can't do it, okay? Not again. Debate him, come on. I already debated him 3 times. It's just every time we talk, it gets worse and worse and worse. So, Hunter, what about woke Oreos? Yeah, apparently Oreos went woke because they made one commercial that was supporting gay people. We're going to get into all that and more, though, soon. Don't worry. You got tired the last time I talked to you because you couldn't justify your morals. Okay. Yep, that's right. You're right, buddy. You owned me so bad that I just had to end the debate. I had to. I couldn't do it anymore. You win. Congratulations. I think I'm sick as well, but it's not COVID. I took an in-home test and it was negative. Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that it was negative. I want a hot tub stream for my birthday tomorrow. I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. Sorry. Conservatives think they're degenerate subhumans and want them hurt and censored. People on the left don't. I mean, I know Roscoe Ducks isn't the biggest fan of gay people, and I don't know what Michael Alberto's take is, but I do not want to bother with it. Hey, someone just sent me a message asking me to unban them from the chat, and they did show up in my Discord, so how do I do that? How do I unban somebody? Wait. Highlight, stream marker, share. Yeah, I streamed at a different hour because my little buddy did get up in the middle of the night, which was not fun. So I had to go back to sleep today in the morning. I'm actually really dumb. How do I unban someone from my chat? He was banned from YouTube chat. Hold on, I want to unban this guy because he came on my thing. You can unblock a user by going to their profile page. Oh. Okay. Send me your YouTube profile page you use to chat. And then I can do it that way. Okay, that works. I am going to be talking to someone in a minute. I'm quite honored. Somebody actually reached out to me and asked for debate advice. So, yeah, you have to go to the profile to unban them, apparently. That's pretty stupid. But yeah, I'm really honored. Somebody reached out to me and asked for... Oh, wait. Hold on. Please send the link to the profile you were banned from. That's the thing. Debate is pointless. Yeah, I mean, if that's really a nice way to cope when you can't defend your ideas, so sure. If that's what you want to believe, pal. But anybody that thinks it's pointless is either coping with the fact that they cannot defend themselves, their positions, or they've lost debates, so they decided to go the anti-debate bro route. And I personally don't know which is cringier. I don't know the banning system well for YouTube. Yeah, apparently it's really dumb. So it seems it's not really doing anything. It's not. Isn't there a list? No, you'd think there should be, right? All right. Hunter never had to unban someone. It's true. I'm so used to clicking ban. Action over debate. Debate is an action. Idiot. Why don't you defend your morals instead of running like you did last time? Buddy, I did defend my morals. I said that I believe something is immoral if it causes a significant amount of harm to the person or to broader society. You, however, base your morals on because God said so. Debate is a spectacle for memes. Dude, I'm about to ban you so that you can be a spectacle for memes, okay? Alberto. Hi, Hunter. Oh, hey, I guess we got 2 Albertos in chat today. That's cool. All right, I'm going to unban this guy, and then I'm going to talk to this person for 10 to 20 minutes on debate. Like I said, I'm quite honored they would reach out to me. I'm not really that great with debate yet. But yeah, I appreciate it. I'm bad in a live setting. I would try, but wouldn't be able to defend my points as well as a video. Yeah, and that's fine. Some people, like, it's okay if debates aren't your thing, but don't go shit on the overall debate. Okay. Not sure what you mean. I'll try to just find this guy's page, I guess? How do you unban people around here? There's got to be an easier way than this. I love how real you sound. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's the problem, is when you search usernames for, like, small channels that aren't, like, posting anything, they're just users, they don't come up with anything. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Hey, Jenya, I am going to figure out how to unban you. When I say... Wait. I need you to like, copy and paste your URL. The URL. Send the URL of your YouTube profile page. That's what I need. And then I can click you. Sorry, Hunter, these are the consequences for kicking out haters. Apparently! Well, well, well. If it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Debate, debate, debate. When you sacrifice principles for optics, then you run into issues. Yeah, true. You can, although I think that you can deliver your principles in a way that's also solid optics. I was going to say real quick, if you guys are interested in supporting the channel, consider putting something in the super chat. Your donations always help to support the channel, and I'm not sure I'll be able to stream much next week. So your donations are especially going to go very far today and on Friday. So if you want to help support the channel and have your message displayed on screen, put something in the super chat. If you are watching on Twitch, then you're also very based. Consider sending something to my PayPal. You can attach a message that way. Either way, I will be reading and responding to all donations I receive, whether it's on Super Chat or on PayPal. Even if I get a donation when I'm in the middle of a segment, as soon as that segment ends, I will then read donations. Do you believe that people should have a right to harm themselves as long as harm does not come from others? It depends on what you mean by harm themselves. I don't know how you would go about justifying that. I mean, I do think that there's precedent for, or not precedent, but I do think that the argument could be made that, like, assisted suicide is something that could be, like, beneficial, but I guess maybe that's a hot liberal take. I don't know. Oh, what are your opinions on assisted suicide? What do you know? Someone just asked. Yeah, I think that assisted suicide makes sense. I think that if people really want to die, that they should be able to pursue that right, that right, essentially. But I also think that that needs to be done with an incredible amount of care. I don't think that somebody can just be like, hey, I'm depressed, and then they die. No. I think that they should, I think that if you have tried virtually, or not, maybe not virtually, if you have tried all treatments, and then you choose not to, and it doesn't work. Oh, cool. Somebody's going to join and talk to me and tell me why they think being transgender is a mental illness. Well, I'm excited for this. Let me go ahead and, how do I give you a role? Hold on. Oh, here we go. Where's member? Let me give you a member so you can join. Okay, there we go. All right. You can join VC now that you have member role. Oh. Hey, Chelsea Thomas, thank you very much for the generous donation, and congratulations for being the first donor of the day. Chelsea Thomas super chatted $5. Why don't you do the hippy dippy panels anymore? Miss you on there. Oh, well, I appreciate that. I would like to start doing the hippy dippy panels again. The main issue I'm running into now is, see this? I get real tired at night because I get up really early with my kids. So it's really hard for me to make it, especially when they're like at 8 or 9 and then they go until fucking midnight. It's just like, and then I'm like, I got to get up in like 6 hours because I usually get up around 6 a.m. whether I want to or not. I just kind of naturally do it. So I think that's a good point, but what about when their reasons are due to external factors that they can't control, like they're LGBT and being hated and such is why they want to end things? Then I don't think that would justify assisted suicide by any means. I think that at that point, you could you can seek treatment, and also that's a societal thing that needs to change, not the individual. Okay, it's D&D. What's up? Oh, hold on, I have you muted. So, yeah, no worries. I really appreciate you reaching out to me and asking for debate advice. You know, I'm not really that great myself, but I'd be happy to give a couple tips.
I would disagree. You're infinitely better than I am, and somehow I decided to go on the hippy dippy. So I appreciate you having the time to talk to me.
Yeah, sure. What subject are you debating on?
I don't know exactly what they are yet, but I know that there's a lot of people who are wanting to talk about trans issues. There's a lot of people who are wanting to talk about specifically Biden's new budget. But the most requested one, and the one that I heard Danabo say that we're doing, is hold up. Is voting essential?
Is voting essential?
Like is it? Does
that mean like is it effective or not?
I think the question is more so like, is voting like required? Should people vote? Are you like required to participate in it?
Okay.
Something like that from like, I guess a moralistic perspective is what I would assume.
Okay. Or like are they morally obligated to vote essentially? Okay, well, yeah, I mean, the first thing that I do whenever I'm going to debate is I ask for the topic because I don't usually like going into debates completely blind because I do like to prepare a little bit. So for me, like a lot of the times I just start first by just researching the topics, you know, finding a couple facts that support my my opinion that I'm going to be going in with and kind of working with those. But a lot of the times when you debate and make arguments, it's like half facts, but then it's also like rhetorical and how you deliver that fact. So a problem that I used to run into a lot was I would try to address everything that the other person would say. And what I would end up doing is I would kind of be conflating how I would go about responding to like a video, for example. So when I'm watching through a video, you know, I click pause and I respond to virtually every argument they make, right? But in a debate, it's really different than that. And I was kind of applying the same logic there and it wasn't working very well. because then, the person would say like 5 things that were incorrect. And then I'd be struggling to try and explain why all 5 things they just said was wrong. But by the time I make it to the second point, now they're cutting me off and bringing up something else. And then it always basically looks like, or it always looked like I was the one kind of on the back foot. I was always scrounging around, desperate to figure out why they're wrong, while they sort of control the conversation. And you might remember that. I don't know. Did you ever see me debate Big Papa Fascist? Like way.
I've seen you debate Big Papa Fascist, Lauren Southern. I'm a huge fan of yours. That's why I asked you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, when I debated Big Papa Fascist for the first time, this was like way back now. I recognized then, I was like, damn, I really got to figure out what the fuck I'm doing wrong. And then I went to Vosh and asked him, because he's great with rhetoric. And the tip he gave me has really helped. He basically just said, listen to what the other person is saying, and then pick one thing they said that you want to respond to. So whatever you feel that you have the strongest argument for, then you want to respond to that part of what they said. So rather than being like, hey, this is what you said wrong, 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 before they go inevitably jump into something and then say, no, actually, you're wrong here. And now all of a sudden we're debating something else, and I didn't even get the chance to address all the wrong things they said previously. Now it's just you pick one thing they've said, or 2 things. It depends kind of how much time you have and how much you feel you are able to respond to as well. And then you respond to that. So I know it sounds kind of simple, but when you're listening to people, if they're like trans people, yada, 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 and then, they're mentally ill, blah, 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 blah. So then I would maybe go with, all right, why do you think trans people are mentally ill? You can just disregard everything else they said, because you're arguing, you're in a debate, you're trying to get to the root of their point here. You're not trying to debunk everything they just said. Does that make sense?
Okay, so pick one point and attack that point, and maybe 2 if you have the time. Is that what you were saying?
Kind of, yeah, yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of like a good example. But yeah, it's not like, I mean, you can respond to as many points as you want to, but usually it's whichever point you think that they made was the weakest, and whichever point you feel you have the strongest rebuttal, that's usually what you're going to really want to lean into, right? So then you now are combating one thing they said rather than trying to debunk everything they said, and then you can start arguing about that one thing which you feel you are stronger in arguing that perspective. So that's kind of a way that you can sort of control the conversation. It doesn't work every time. I mean, I've definitely been in debates where the other person is controlling the conversation. But you can still do well in discussions like that. Like, for example, I debated Rob Noor, and he's like, Gish Gallop's like, fuck. And he definitely controlled that conversation. I was more on the back foot that time, but I was still able to do okay because I was able to adequately respond to most of the points he brought up. So it's kind of a mix of like knowing your shit, and then knowing the proper way to respond. And then also, if you can, you're able to sort of wrap around later points into like a previous point as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. So I guess an example would be like when you were debating Lauren Southern, she went at you for your data points and then started overloading you with studies. A good thing to do would have been, hey, look, your data is from very small sample sizes. This is why it's wrong. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Partially. There's multiple ways you could take that now. Like when I look back on that debate, I think my debate with Lauren Southern was the first debate that I actually did pretty well in. And you can try to defend your data if you know what they're saying is wrong, right? But let's say they say something about your data that you're not actually prepared to properly respond to. There's also a rhetorical way you could respond, which is, why are you so interested in discrediting this information? Why are you so interested in arguing against trans people seeking treatment, which seems to be effective according to all available research? And then you can basically take it just rhetorical. That's not really an argument. Now you're saying, hey, you can argue all day about the sample size of this one study. This is not the only study. There are multiple different studies that all say the same thing. So even if I were to concede that, yeah, maybe this study didn't have the best sample size, you need to tell me why you're so desperate to discredit this argument as a whole. So that, for example, that's not even like I didn't cite a single fact necessarily, but instead you can use rhetoric to force them to answer a broader question also.
Okay, so what I need to do is I need to balance rhetoric and evidence and information more because I tend to lean way more towards the information because my brain cares less about the rhetoric.
Right, and that's exactly how I was too. I used to think if I have all the facts, then I can win the debate. That used to be what I would think, that as long as I have the facts, I'm good to go. But there's a whole other side to it, which is rhetoric as well. So sometimes you might have a fact, for example, and maybe you want to just spiel off all these facts that you have that completely obliterate what they said, but that might not actually look as effective as, say, having a conversation, asking them questions, and getting them to a place where you then hit them with a fact that further kind of buries them in what they've already said. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. So I guess my next question would be, so this is like the hippy dippy recruitment roundtable. I know that this show, yeah, it's about debate and about information, but it's also about entertainment. Do you recommend striking a balance between the two or leaning more heavily into one than the other?
I missed what you. So there's entertainment, and what was the other one?
This entertainment and information, obviously, in this show, because like you have to be entertaining to stay on.
Okay.
Um, but how do you balance being entertaining and having good information?
Usually, the way that I am try to be entertaining is by like using insults, clever roasts. That's not obviously for everyone, and you could also argue that that might not be the best optical way to go forward. There is definitely a balance there. I think part of it is finding like your own unique style and how you want to balance it. So for example, like I debate a lot more aggressively than I would say like now that Destiny does, for example. So like Destiny's a little bit more conversational, whereas I'm a little bit more like aggressive with debate. And that's not a shitting on Destiny at all. That's his style. He does better, or he prefers anyway, the more conversational aspect. Whereas I sometimes would see Destiny argue, and I'd think this person is saying so many things that are so stupid, and I feel like they need to be like aggressively taken down a little bit more. And so I would then kind of adapt my style to be how I would prefer to watch a debate in a way. So like I can't give you an exact line. A lot of it is a lot of it is just finding your own style, you know? How you could be entertaining, you could crack jokes, you could try to figure out clever ways of delivering your information. Um I don't know. I know that it's listen, I know that it's tough because when I was first trying to figure out how to debate and I was asking questions, I would be told a lot of stuff kind of like what I'm telling you now, and I would still feel like I still don't totally feel like I know what exactly to do. And that's just that's just something you got to figure out as you practice more and more. And that's something I did too. I would just do Discord debates. I would debate people sometimes even off air just to practice, so that way if I did lose a debate it wouldn't be like a big thing, just so I could get practice up. Like there are
That way
many.
they're not uploading to their like 2 subscriber YouTube channel, Hunter absolutely wrecked.
Yeah, anything like that. It's just it's there's lots of ways to practice, and like I said, I still am not really that great at debate. I'm definitely better than I was, but I'm kind of always learning how to get better. But the more that I practiced, the better I've definitely gotten, and I'm definitely more comfortable now having conversations, because I used to get really nervous before really any debates. I would just be so fucking stressed out, and now I almost just look forward to it because I'm like, yeah, I have the information on my side. So I just need to figure out a good way of delivering it. And then you kind of just go in the conversation. And a good way that a lot of people recommend, though, is match your opponent's style. So like obviously if your opponent is I actually did this the other day with somebody that came on. So someone came on here to argue with me about smart conservatives. And I did think that their arguments were really, really dumb, of course. But the way the person was talking, it was very obvious that they were nervous. And I don't know if they had like a speech impediment or if they were just really nervous, but either way, they were stuttering like a lot. So obviously, if I'm talking to someone like that, and then every second I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, idiot?" Then I'm gonna kind of look like the bully in that situation almost. Like it's not going to be a good way of delivering my argument. So sometimes you just have to match the tone of the other person. You can kind of just let them determine the tone. And then if they want to be more aggressive, then you can step up your aggression.
Alrighty, so matching tone would be an important thing for me because every debate I've had, I either go too far to like the I'm I'm just focused on the information, or I lean way too heavy into insulting and going at people. So I need to find a balance and match theirs more than I currently do. That's really helpful. I appreciate that.
Yeah, something that I've tried to remember is because you know me, I fucking love insulting people. So if it's best to insult somebody after you've deconstructed their argument. So obviously, if somebody says something wrong and then you respond, "Wow, you're an idiot," then you're gonna look bad in that situation because you haven't responded to what they said. You look like you don't have an answer, so you're resorting to insults. However, if they say something wrong and then you explain what they said was wrong in a way that you feel is very concise, and then you finish your explanation with, "So I don't know what if like maybe you didn't do enough research, are you missing brain cells? I don't know." Then you kind of look a little bit more, it's almost like you've kind of earned the ability to insult because obviously if all you're doing is insulting, that's not going to be helpful at all, you know?
All right. All right. So sort of going at their points, attacking it, and then throwing in an insult at the end. That way you sort of have the edge for when they have to respond.
Yeah, I mean if you want to, but again, just match the person's tone. You know, if they're being kind of friendly with you and they're being more conversational, then just like dropping an insult every time is going to be really shitty, of course. So it just kind of comes down to the individual conversation also. My guess is though, since you're going to be on hippy dippy, it's probably going to be pretty hostile. So yeah, I mean by using like a little bit of insults at the end of deconstructing the point, that can kind of bring in the entertainment value.
All right. Okay, so my next question is, how do you keep your composure as much as you do? Because I've struggled this when debating trans issues. I just lose my composure so quickly when people start like just I guess being brain dead morons is the best term. But
Mhm.
how do you keep composure when something's like legitimately upsetting to you?
That's a good question. And I definitely used to kind of slip up on that too. But it helps to first and foremost remember that if you are debating somebody publicly, it's not as much about debating them, it's more about the audience that's listening. So if you lose your composure, just it helps to remember that, hey, if I lose my composure here and get really mad and have more of an emotional response here, then that is going to instantly, even if I'm right, in the minds of the people watching, you've lost the debate because now you're the triggered snowflake yelling and getting mad, while the other person is just calmly delivering their point as a very calm intellectual, you know? So that's the first thing is just keep that in your mind like, hey, I don't need to lose my composure, and by doing that, I'm actually hurting my ability to argue better. And then I don't know exactly how I would say like just to keep your composure. Usually it's just like if I hear somebody say something that's dumb, I wait till they're done. And even because, like, of course, there are things that I hear people say that do make me mad that I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking stupid. But then I take satisfaction in being able to debunk that point they've made to their face rather than getting really mad and losing my composure. Does that make sense? I
Yeah,
don't
that
really know
does.
exactly how to like say like keep your composure. For me also is just practice. Um because like I mean, if you go back and watch my debate with Big Papa Fascist, like I lost my composure in that because I was on the back foot the entire time, and I was uncomfortable, and I didn't really know how to be rhetorically effective. I had all the facts. I had like 10 pages of all the facts on LGBT stuff, but for some reason I'm like, why am I losing the debate? And it's because it's a mix really of how you deliver those facts at the end of the day.
All right,
But
so I really need to improve delivery because I definitely lean a little too much into the information side if I'm not interested in blood sport.
Yeah, and also there's nothing wrong with obviously having a lot of information is good. You want to have as much information as humanly possible, but if all you have is the information and you're not really very good at delivering that, even if you're right, then you aren't going to look like, and again, it sounds bad to say look like you've won, because when I talk to people, like, of course I want to beat them in the conversation, but my only goal is not I want to win. I also believe in what I'm saying, and I feel that what I believe in is quite logical and coherent, and so I just need to figure out like the best way to explain that. So a lot of it just comes with practice. A lot of it just comes with trying again and again. And you know what? Even if, and I don't think you are, but even if you go on the hippy dippy panel and you kind of fuck up, then you know what? You try again next time. I mean, I went on Tim Pool. That was my fucking biggest opportunity, and I totally butchered that. And I had to keep trying again. I had to recognize where I went wrong and do better the next time.
I
So,
still don't think you did as bad as people say you did on there.
really, yeah, maybe it's because you're a
Yeah,
fan.
I don't know. I never saw it as like the worst performance ever.
I mean, it may have not been the worst performance ever, but it definitely was. Compared to where I am now, I feel like I could get a lot. I would have done so much better if I had waited to go on there till like now, for example. But
Sure. All
I
right.
know it's tough. I honestly understand how it feels frustrating because you hear the tips and then you're like, I still don't exactly know what that means. How do I apply it? But that's where the practice comes in, you know?
I should have probably practiced way more than I have then.
I
I
mean, you
guess
can.
the go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say. I mean, what I would do sometimes is I would have my wife argue for the opposition, so I could practice debating that way. And then another thing, you know how like you find yourself like pretend debating in the shower, like even that, like figure out how to apply the way you feel when you feel really confident when you're just like arguing with yourself, right? To apply that to the actual real conversation.
That's actually a really interesting way to do it. I never would have thought of that. Fuck. I should definitely try that.
Yeah, just practice. Just practice how the argument would sound. And then another thing that helps too is figuring out essentially like the opponent's argument also. That helps really well too. So the more informed you are on the opposition point, the better equipped you can be to argue against it. So I'm going to be debating John Miller on Friday, and I'm debating on diversity in the military. And so I've read up a little bit on what does the opposition have to say about this. And now that I know, I can better prepare for what I feel is the strongest argument against my argument. So kind of just being able to almost like not play both sides, but being able to almost debate from both sides, that's really effective. That's like even what they do in debate clubs. They'll have you debate a position that you don't even agree with, just to practice like actually like just arguing.
That would actually probably help because I've really struggled sometimes to understand where a lot of the conservative arguments come from, even though myself I sort of left being far right when you left the right.
Yeah.
God, that's actually an interesting way to do it. Practice arguing their side. That way you know their talking points. That would actually help too.
Yeah. And it honestly, it's kind of weird because you're looking up all this stuff and you're like, man, they maybe there are some points on their side too. But by accepting that before you're in the middle of a fucking debate, you're way better prepared to argue against what you feel is their strongest point.
How do you argue with someone that agrees with you? Because I know the point of hippy dippy recruitment, from what I understand, the tag team stuff is you and your partner be the last one standing. How do we argue against people that are other liberals or leftists that might agree with us on things? Like, is
Probably
there,
just pick something. You'll like most likely throughout the panel they'll say something that maybe you don't quite agree with. Um, I that's actually a really good question because that's almost even harder than debating someone who like absolutely despises you because now you're in a place where you're like, wait, what do we even argue about? Um, but I don't know. I think that Destiny does a good job with this, is he's good at picking out little things that he can kind of construe into an argument against the person, even if he does overall agree with them, for the sake of the debate. Because I was on Hippy Dippy a while back, with, and it came down to me, Destiny, and Demon Mama, and that actually is where I fucked up, is when it was the end, because I mostly agreed with them and their positions. So then I'm like, shit, like, how do you even argue with them? And now I look back and I'm like, oh man, like, I could have made like a clever roast on Destiny, or had a clever roast on Demon Mama, or like there's ways that you can figure it out. I know that's probably not very helpful, just figure it out, but it's I don't exactly know the answer to that one, because that's a really tough one.
Yeah, I struggle with debating people I agree with because I also don't want to burn that bridge because, hey, who knows? I could do something with them. We could work on something.
Yeah, and just if I wanted to I want to address someone in chat. I feel like arguing positions you don't actually believe is just training yourself to be a grifter. No, this is training yourself to be skilled in rhetoric, so you know how to properly dismantle their points. Like that's ridiculous. Now, if you're training to argue against positions you don't actually believe in so that you can go up and argue that position just for the sake of the argument, then maybe that's a little closer to being a grifter, especially if you're doing that to make money. But no, we're talking about how to practice getting better at debate. Like, come on, chatter, dummy. All right, but yeah, do you have any other questions? I kind of feel like I haven't quite adequately answered them, but I don't know. I'm doing the best I can.
No, there's no worry. The only other question I guess I really have is when you're arguing with when I'm arguing with someone on the left, I often struggle to use the rhetoric, and I'd rather just focus on the facts. Do you think that like sometimes throwing insults or using more of the like blood sports tactics when it's people you agree with would be more effective, or do you think like being nicer would be?
It depends on what you mean by people you agree with. Like, if they're somebody you consider like, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. So I wouldn't go full blood sports, for example. So in hindsight, I'll give you an example. In hindsight, and like, of course, I wish I had said this in the actual debate, but when it came down to me, Destiny, and Demon Mama, like I said, that was when I really fucked up on the Hippy Dippy elimination thing, because, excuse me, the question was, why should you win, or something like that, right? And at the time, it's like, what do you say to that? How do you answer that, right? Like, and now I look back and I realize, damn it, I could have easily not gone blood sports, but I could definitely have made an argument like, come on, here I am. I'm the one guy who is consistent. You got Demon Mama arguing to self-diagnose yourself, and you have Destiny the fat shamer. I'm the only one who hasn't had the kind of controversy or something like. And that was part of, like, I'm bringing that up because that was part of the conversation, was Destiny's fat shaming tweets and Demon Mama's self-diagnosing take. So like, even shit like that, you can just, like, that's a clever way to respond that doesn't involve like, here you have two of the most degenerate subhuman people ever versus me. Like, you kind of want to, again, strike up that balance, you know?
All right, so don't go like these are the most moronic, degenerate people you will ever meet. They deserve no mercy. Like, don't do that. Go with something like, okay, yeah,
Like, a
all
little bit,
right.
you can, if it's somebody you really agree with ultimately, but maybe they have a take here and there that you don't agree with, you can latch on to that and go about it in a little bit more of a like playful way that still gets to the core of the argument. Not every argument needs to be super fucking intense and aggressive.
All right, yeah, I'll definitely try to strike a better balance with that.
Yeah, like I said,
All right.
it's mainly just practice, you know?
Yeah, well, I'm a try to practice some more with debates. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me though, Hunter.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks so much for reaching out. And like I said, I'm quite honored that you even contacted me to ask. So I really appreciate that.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate all this, and I hope I do well. Thank you so much for the advice.
No worries, man. You're going to do great. See ya.
All right, peace.
All right. I know, Butters, I see you in chat. All right. I'll pull you in a second, but let me go over donos first. Obscure audio history. Thank you very much for the $5. Holding your opponent's face to your butt and blasting a fart is an underrated tactical move. Jordan Peterson fears me. That does sound pretty terrifying, yeah. Black Dynamite, thanks for the $2. Hunter, how do you feel about your talk with PSA Stitch? Which part of it? I feel like overall I did okay with that one. And I also got a generous PayPal donation. Oh, no message attached, but McMichael sent $5 to my PayPal. McMichael, thank you very much for the generous donation, my friend, and I appreciate your support of the channel. Keep in mind, guys, if you send a PayPal donation, you are more than welcome to include a message there, so you can actually, so I can actually respond to it. You know. All right. Okay. Hey, Butters, what's up? Hello. I've seen you in chat waiting to talk. Are you there? Am I going to have to use the fart debate tactic? Hello? Uh-oh. I see him typing. Hold on. Yo, Butters, you good? What's going on? You might need to change your audio settings. New debate tactic, not saying anything. The silent treatment. That's the new debate tactic, guys. Just go full silence. All right, I want to talk to this guy before we move on to the topics of the day. So, yo. Is Butters a fan or a hater? He's an old fan who disagrees with me on trans issues and said being trans is a mental illness. So I would be very happy to have that conversation with him. But he's gone completely like radio silence here. Hey, Butters, I'll try messaging you directly, okay? Go check your DMs. I messaged you at the very top. If you're using your phone, sometimes it doesn't work when I drag you into the voice call. So I sent you a direct DM, and I'll call you directly on there. I just need you to respond so I know you'll actually answer. Also, hey, how you doing for a more perfect America? Hope you're doing well. Glad to see you back. Mental illness is an arbitrary definition. What does that mean? How would you treat them differently? All right, he's talking back now. Okay. Try answering the direct call now. Just click answer. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, how are you? You're a little bit muffled. If you want to...
Can you hear me well?
Yes, but you are a bit muffled. Do you want to give me...
Okay, well, where I am, it's kind of raining right now, so my signal might not be great.
Okay, are you able
Okay.
to hold the phone up closer to your face or maybe put it in on speakerphone?
Well, I'm using a mic with like a wireless one.
Well, it's
So I
just
think-
every time you talk,
Okay.
it sounds like there's a lot of like wind blowing around. I think if you change your audio output or input to just be the phone, it might actually sound better.
Okay, I'll try that.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello. Did you change the...
Yeah,
You changed...
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So, I wanted to say two things first. The first thing is, been fan of yours for a few years. I respect what you do.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I respect that you give people who don't have platform, like, you debate them with, whereas other people probably will not do that. And then the second thing is, the thing that I respect you the most for is most people are not willing to make sacrifices for their beliefs. And I know you probably lost a lot of followers for the change that you made.
Yeah.
So that's how I know you truly believe it. And that's why I respect you more than most other people who align with my beliefs.
Okay.
So yeah, I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I saw you message. You said that you think that being transgender is a mental illness. Do you want to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah. So I said transgenderism is a mental illness. Changed my mind, and I do believe that. I think transgenderism is weird. It's unnatural, and
Okay.
yeah, that's my position.
All right, let me write this down.
Okay.
We'll get started with this. So, oops. I once again have my game capture on. Hold on. So it's weird and unnatural.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the first thing is, how are you defining a mental illness?
Okay, so I think I was talking with some of the guys in the chat, and I said that um it's probably not something you're born with, but it is induced. So the way I call it is as a mental illness. I don't think people are born with this mental illness, but they're rather deceived into it.
Deceived
As in you
into
can, as in the same way that somebody can get PTSD, that would be something that you can acquire during your life. You're not born with it.
Mm-hmm.
Transgenderism, or believing that you're not biologically male or female, is that as well.
Okay,
Is that
so
type of mental illness? That's
yeah,
what
I am kind of seeing the issue here already. Is there's a lot of misconceptions, I think. So first and
Okay.
foremost, how we define a mental illness is usually if this is some kind of an ailment that you good? It's sounding really windy over there.
Yeah, I'm in the UK and it's rainy as hell. So
Okay, yeah, I was going to just say how we define a mental illness is usually a type of ailment that prevents you from leading a healthy, happy life.
yes,
So,
I agree with that.
so people that are transgender, they're able to live happy, healthy lives without any issue. A lot of the problem is societal pressures on trans people and societal discrimination, which leads to a higher suicide rate, higher rates of homelessness, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that if we're clear on that, if we know that just existing as a transgender person does not prevent you from living a happy, healthy life, then I don't think it's fair to call that a mental illness.
Well, that's the thing. I don't agree with the premise that you can live a happy, healthy life as a transgender person.
Well, there's two components to this. Is first, let's say you're transgender, and that means simply that you identify as a different gender. Okay, that isn't a mental illness because it doesn't cause any kind of issues with your day-to-day life. However, if there's somebody with, say,
Well,
if there's somebody with gender dysphoria, that is a mental illness. And the reason we classify that as a mental illness is because the distress that you have from the mismatch between your brain's perception and your actual body causes you a great deal of stress and a great deal of pain, and it hurts your functionality in your day-to-day life. So gender dysphoria is a mental illness. I'm not denying that. But the question would then be, how do you treat that mental illness?
I still disagree with this premise that you started off with. That's just you can identify as a different gender and live a happy life. And I disagree with that because I think the moment you start lying to yourself about your identity, issues starting. So,
But it's not a lie.
well, this is the thing. I think we disagree on the starting premise, which is I do think it is a lie when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am this or that. And it's not what you're biologically born as.
I think that you're mixing stuff up again. So trans people don't. So let's say you have a trans woman, okay? Somebody who's biologically male, but they identify as a woman. This person does not think that their penis magically is like a vagina. They're painfully aware of the fact that their biology differs from their gender identity, and that's largely where the gender dysphoria comes from. However, when we're
A
talking
lot
about
of
simply,
people.
if we're talking about just identifying, then gender is a form of identity, and you can identify with it. It's just like there are other types of identities also. A good one that people bring up a lot is like being a sports fan. If I say I'm a fan of the New York Jets, that is a part of my identity, but you can't prove it, you can't disprove it. Even if I've never been to a game, it still doesn't mean that I'm not a New York Jets fan. It's just a part of identity that we accept.
I see what you mean, but I don't think that someone born biologically male can identify as a female, because
Not
I think
female, not female, as a woman. So I hate to be the guy
as
getting
a,
super technical, but
no, that's fine, yeah.
when you say
As
female, you're referring to sexual characteristics. Trans women do not think that they suddenly have a vagina. Again, they're aware that their biology differs, but we're talking about gender, which are social roles and social expectations.
This is the thing. I think they are interchangeable.
Well, then you're just wrong. Like that we've studied gender. We recognize the way that gender differs from sex.
This is like modern teachings in academia.
It's
I
really
just
not.
think they're
No,
interchangeable.
no, that's a really big misconception, unfortunately, is that people think that it's like this new Tumblr shit that just happened in 2015, but I can show you writings way back in the 70s that were arguing for the same thing. I think it even went back further than that. I'm looking through my document now, and I think that I have one somewhere about it. But no, it's not actually a new concept. Now, you're right that colloquially we refer to sex and gender interchangeably. That is true. So if I say, hey, what's the baby's gender? Obviously, you're talking at the end of the day, does the baby have a penis or a vagina? So I recognize that in day-to-day life, you probably use those terms interchangeably. But when we're debating a subject like this, then we have to get really technical, right? And so gender refers to the social roles and social characteristics that we as a society ascribe to people with certain sets of sexual characteristics. So I think the confusion comes a lot of the time because gender is heavily correlated with sex, but it is not caused by sex. So that means if you have somebody born with a penis, then most likely society is saying, oh, well, they're a boy, they like blue, and that child is growing up in an environment where their room is painted blue, they have short hair, and that's kind of how they were socialized into what it means to be a man. But if you took someone with a penis and put them in a padded room and left them there until they grew up without any exposure to the outside world, they're not going to just naturally like the color blue and want to wear their hair short. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying. Okay, so you just explained to me, and I was already aware that nowadays, like, gender is used as something you identify as, and it's not interchangeable with sex. But my point is that identifying with not what you're born with will lead to an unhappy, unfulfilled life.
Hold on, you cut out again. What?
Okay, sorry. I'll say that again. So we just said that gender and sex are not interchangeable, and basically gender is something that you identify with.
Yes.
Well, my point is that if you identify as not the sex you're born with, as in if you don't identify as male, if you're born male.
But you're just confusing this again. That you don't identify as male. You are biologically male. You have that biological makeup.
If you are biologically male.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the social roles that we have socially constructed and ascribe to people that have a certain set of genitals or a certain set of biological characteristics are intrinsic. So another example would be like in the past, right? Like it was very common for people with penises who are also identified as men to wear high heels or to wear dresses. I mean, even Jesus Christ had his hair long. what it means, how you present yourself as a man is entirely different from your sexual characteristics. And that's why it's so crucial to distinguish between the two of them.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I don't see that having your hair long and getting a gender cosmetic surgery as the same thing.
Well,
I mean,
that's
someone
because
as a man can have their hair long, but you
right.
can't.
So you're right, and that's why this is where we this is where we enter another layer that can also get a little confusing. But first, we have to establish that sex and gender are different. Like, we literally have to. So do you recognize the argument that I gave, and do you accept that sex and gender are different things, at least for the sake of this discussion?
Yeah, so you're saying gender is basically as the role you play, as you are the stereotypical Chad, basically.
It's
This is
more
the
than
role.
that, though. Also, it's usually you identify with that gender, and so you take steps to present yourself as that gender as well. Similarly, how some people identify as Christians, they take steps to present themselves that way also by, say, going to church every Sunday or hanging up Jesus crosses on their wall. If you don't do those things, you can still be a Christian, but usually you're taking steps to present as an aspect of your identity. So when we're talking about gender, purely gender, right? So what it means on a very, very basic level to be transgender is simply somebody who identifies with a different gender than what would otherwise be expected of them based on their biology. So that's the first thing. That's just what it means on a very basic level. However, most people who identify differently, who are transgender, also have gender dysphoria. And gender dysphoria is deeper than simply your gender and social roles. That also plays into your sexual characteristics also, because you're not content with just presenting yourself or playing into certain behaviors and expectations that are associated with said gender. You also have discomfort with the fact that you identify as a woman and you also want to present as a female as well. And then with that comes the gender dysphoria. And truthfully, I feel like gender dysphoria should be called sexual dysphoria because it's kind of confusing. I don't know why people call it gender dysphoria when it's really ultimately a discomfort with your biology. But yeah.
Because the vast majority of the world still use sex and gender interchangeably.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant right now.
Sorry?
You're really breaking up, man. I'm enjoying this conversation, but it's getting really hard to hear you. Is there any possible? Are you able to go inside anywhere?
Well, I can be inside within about 10 to 15 minutes, but I don't want to leave you waiting for that long.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be streaming for a while if you want to just come back.
Okay, yeah, then I can join you in 15 minutes. I'm basically outside, and stereotypical UK weather is sunny for 5 minutes, and now it's a rainstorm.
Yeah, I got you, man. Well, I would like to continue this conversation. I find it very interesting, but yeah. All right. Well,
I'll
just
join
message
you.
in the just message in the chat when you're ready to continue. I'll talk to you later. Okay. It's getting really hard to hear him. Hunter, there's both gender and sexual dysphoria. Yeah, but if we're talking about people pursuing sex reassignment surgery, then we're most likely talking about sexual dysphoria. All right, let me check my lovely PayPal donations to make sure I didn't miss any other ones. I did not. All right. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and get started with our topic of the day. All right, well, I'm in here. He can just join back. That's a fun conversation. I like to have those conversations. Yeah, guys, if you want your donation read and you want to help support the channel to continue hearing my voluptuous voice, then like I said, consider putting something in the super chat because you're just that awesome. All right? If you don't donate, then you're instantly lame. And if you do donate, then you're insta-chad. It's that easy. Just kidding. Donations, like I say, never required, always appreciated. All right, let's talk about Jon Stewart. Hunter, have you ever thought of a man in a sexual way? No. I'm a straight dude. Not really. All right. So, let's get started with this. So, Jon Stewart, he is a guy. He has a late night show. And recently, he dropped a video that is very, very cringy. The dislike to like ratio kind of indicates that. I also have not seen this entire video. I've just seen little bits and pieces, and I thought this is a gold mine to respond to right here on stream. So that way I'm going in blind, okay? I'm like all of you guys. I'm just ready to fucking deep dive in this, and I'm ready to expose myself to whatever kind of disease we might be embracing today. So the video is called Taking Responsibility for Systemic Racism. 31K dislikes, 11K likes. Ooh. So, oh shit. Even the title, I feel like I need to critique. When we talk about systemic racism, we're talking about systems in place that disproportionately harm black people. And when you say I'm taking responsibility for systemic racism, I feel like already you're kind of missing the point. So let me give you an example. So for example, wait, am I being redundant? Yes. So for example, it is a fact that white people, not all white people, but white people as a statistic, generally have more wealth than black people as a statistic. Now, why is that? Why are black people disproportionately poor as opposed to white people? The reason for that is because of systemic racism. You see black people living in poorer communities due to historical concepts like redlining. You see a higher rate of crime because when you have poverty, you're more likely to have crime. And all of this essentially harms black people. And on top of this, you also have the fact that black people were literally slaves and then segregated and then suffered through redlining for basically the last fucking 100 years, which gave white people a really big step ahead to generate or to acquire generational wealth. Black people didn't have that privilege. White people were able to buy homes in really nice communities and use their home equity to invest in college, to get their children educated. And that keeps going. That extends to newer and further generations. Black people didn't have that privilege because black people, if they tried to get a house in a nice neighborhood, they were denied a mortgage because they were black. And so they were disproportionately relegated to poorer and shittier communities because of redlining. So these are all systems in place where white people have benefited in more ways than black people. This doesn't mean that all white people are somehow to blame for this. This doesn't mean that you as a white dude need to recognize how it's your fault that there are systems in place. No, this isn't your fault. Now, do white people benefit from certain systems that black people don't? Sure. Is it good to recognize that? Absolutely. You should recognize how those systems are at play here so that you can make a difference, so that you can do better, so that you can, I don't know, just, it's good to be aware of those systems there so that you're not ignorant at the very least. But by phrasing the title as taking responsibility for systemic racism, like, Jon Stewart, was it your idea to do redlining? Did you decide to do the drug war? This isn't exactly something you take responsibility for. This is something that you recognize exists so that we can all come to a common agreement so that we can then move forward on how to fix these issues. So that was a little long-winded. There's my little preamble. Let's go ahead and get started. Jon Stewart, Take it away. I might have to raise the volume.
Obviously, usually in an episode.
I do have to raise the volume. Okay, cool. Oh my God.
About race, focusing on.
Okay. Turn this down. All right. Let's do it, folks. Let's do it.
Obviously, usually in an episode about race, focusing on black issues, you'd want to connect with a Cornell West, a Ta-Nehisi Coates, a Dave Matthews, experts in the field. But I'm going to take Toni Morrison's advice on this. It's time for white people to talk and figure some things out. So tonight I'm speaking to, I mean, honestly, as white a panelist I think I could find. I have an Andrew, a Lisa, and a Chip. This panel is bone. It is alabaster. To my left is Chip.
Okay. Well, we're off to a great start. We got a lot of white people. Hell yeah. I don't know. Listen, a late night humor goes way over my head because I think that it's really just appealing to an older audience who kind of just know the cues. They're like, okay, that was a joke, so now I laugh.
Chip Gallagher, he's a professor of sociology at LaSalle University. He researches social inequality and race. Lisa Bond, the resident white woman for Race to Dinner, a group that is trying to have better conversations about race in America. And joining remotely, longtime author and columnist Andrew Sullivan, editor of the Weekly Dish. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I want to go to this.
Hold on. Wait. Is this the wrong video? Hold on a second. Oh, shit. Do I have the wrong video right now? Holy shit. Did I accidentally save the wrong video? Did I give my entire preamble to just have the wrong video? Hold on. Hold on a second. Let me make sure this is the right one. Okay, yeah, I did have the right video. Because I saw a clip of this, and I wanted to make sure it was the right one. Okay, sorry. All right. Okay, sorry for the minor little interruption there. Let's get back to it. Here we go, folks. Jon Stewart, take it away again.
He researches social inequality and race. Lisa Bond, the resident white woman for Race to Dinner, a group that is trying to have better conversations about race in America. And joining remotely, longtime author and columnist Andrew Sullivan, editor of the Weekly Dish. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.
Woohoo! Yeah!
Here's what I think holds back our race conversation in America. I think at its core, I think white people put blame on black people for the position that they are in. And
so right off the bat, I do not like this phrasing already. The white people do this thing. Now, he's right that conservatives generally take the pull yourself up by the bootstraps narrative, but by phrasing this as purely white people is a little yikesy, because I've argued with black people that have the same perspective, that the black community needs to just pull their pants up and do better. So right off the bat, 1 minute in, the phrasing of this is yikes.
And then believe that white people will lose something in order for black people to gain it. And that's what creates that resentment and difficulty to overcome. And I'll start with Chip, because Chip.
Charles. Yeah.
That doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help. Yeah, okay.
Boomer humor.
A significant amount of white people in the United States of America see race relations through a colorblind lens. And I don't mean that whites don't see race. They see someone that's black or Asian. But they don't in any way attach any meaning to the color in affecting life chances. And what that fundamentally means is that race doesn't matter in getting ahead. It just doesn't matter.
They believe that we are in a race-neutral environment.
The playing field has been leveled, and if you make it, or you don't.
It's a meritocracy.
It's a meritocracy, and it's a narrative also that does a lot of things. It makes white privilege invisible.
Okay, some of these arguments aren't entirely wrong, that it is true that some people see race as just the color of your skin, and they don't recognize the way that systems can disproportionately harm certain racial groups. For example, the criminal justice system is more likely to sentence black people to the death penalty compared to white people who commit relatively the same crimes. That is important. That's the way black people might be negatively affected by a system because of their skin color. But I feel like they could have presented this argument so much better if they just said that a lot of Americans. That's it. If they just said, a lot of Americans tend to see it this way, but a lot of the times it's like this. When you say a lot of whites are like this, instantly you're unironically making white people feel like they are somehow to blame for this. And this is just bullshit.
And it also makes whites feel that whatever they did, whatever successes they had nothing to do with what happened 50, 100, 200 years ago.
But you have to look at it as it is difficult. I can see how people would get defensive about, I didn't have slaves. I have not actively participated. I am a part of a system that was built through racism, but my life is hard, and I work hard, and I don't get ahead. So how does privilege factor into it to me? Now, you try and get these conversations going.
Where I come from is that this system of white supremacy has done such a good job of teaching us as white people that racism is bad. And when we talk about racism, we're talking about your character flaw. If we say you're racist, it's a character flaw. Mm-hmm. I'm bad, and I know I'm not bad. I think I'm a good person. I think I'm a nice person. And I know that I am racist. And I know that I'm racist because I, every single day, uphold the systems and the structures of racism. And
oh, what? This ain't it, Chief. Oh, man. No. Wait, how are white people existing upholding the systems? White people benefit from certain systems that black people don't, but white people just existing are not upholding the system. Ooh, this is bad. This is really fucking bad. Oh, God. But I know that I am racist. Shit. I don't know. I don't even know how to respond to this. Like, some white people are racist, but we don't need to say, like, yes, we are all actually racist. Again, a lot of this is just like phrasing, because some of the arguments that she's making could be applicable if they were phrased in a better way. So, like, rather than white people, they think that being racist is just a bad thing. So, they need to just recognize that they're all racist because they uphold a system. No. Instead, we could easily say, hey, there's such a thing as subconscious bias. This doesn't mean that everybody's like a bad, evil racist. This just means that when we're raised in a certain environment, you can have certain subconscious biases without even realizing it. So, for example, and then I would go into, of course, the study which shows that job applications with black-sounding names are less likely to get callbacks as opposed to job applications with white-sounding names. Does this mean that every employer in this study was actually just a big bad racist and they just have to admit it? No. What it means is that there are subconscious biases because we were raised in an environment where you're more familiar with white people, you're more familiar with the name Jake than you are Takesha, then you take that familiarity and you apply it in a way that ends up harming black people. This doesn't mean that you're like a big bad racist. It simply means that by being aware of certain subconscious biases, you can then address the problem and you can make sure that those biases aren't playing a role in your decision making. Now this phrasing that Hunter is presenting is cringe. Guess what's even more cringe, pal? The fact that you're getting banned. Bye.
And if we don't start having a conversation about that and about the ways that we are complicit every day, daily, if we don't talk about it, then we are never going to see movement.
Andrew, do you think...
Wait, no, don't leave it at that. What? How are we complicit? You need to explain this, lady. Sorry. You need to explain this, lady. How are we complicit? Just existing doesn't make you complicit. Hey, Decline, can you ban debate bore? He's being really cringe. You're banned for cringe.
Because it always gets framed on that moral level, right? Does the moral qualifying of it make resentment the natural outcome of that?
I think one of the issues is that it's very hard to agree with some of the very premises that are being expressed tonight, as if everything is already settled. We know this country is, for example, a white supremacy. Well, I don't
No, what? Holy shit, dude. This is, you know how people say that fascism is losing its meaning? Now is the next word we're destroying now white supremacy? Oh god, bro. They're taking something like that's an actual real issue and they're butchering it. This country is not a white supremacy. Oh man. There are certain systems in this country that can be undone that disproportionately benefit white people as opposed to black people. So again, the wealth gap between white and black people is a perfect example here, that because of historical racism, white people generally have more generational wealth. They generally start off in a better place because they didn't suffer at the hands of slavery, Jim Crow, and redlining. This is literally a way that you could phrase this exact same thing and make it so much better. Holy shit. And they're talking about how white people have resentment. Yeah, no shit. You have 3 chuckle fucks up here who just basically said all white people are racist because they live in America and that America's actually run by the Klan. Come on, pal.
believe that. I think it's possibly the most absurd, a white supremacy. Well, I don't believe that. I think it's possibly the most absurd hyperbole I've ever heard. I'm an immigrant, so I have a slightly different...
Okay, hold on. Wait. Maybe I should have let him finish his sentence. Does he say he's not agreeing with that? Hold on.
For example, a white supremacy. Well, I don't believe that. I think it's possibly the most absurd hyperbole I've ever heard.
Okay.
I'm an immigrant, so I have a slightly different view of this. I can tell you, America in 2022 is the most multiracial, multicultural, tolerant, diverse melting pot that has ever existed on planet Earth, and there is no other place on Earth even like it. That's why 86% of our immigrants are non-white.
Let me ask you a question, though, Andrew.
Okay, so this guy is giving a different perspective. Thank you so much for not taking the America is actually a white supremacy route. Okay, so you can disregard what I said, what I said before.
This country?
I think you bring up an interesting point, and we might be getting hung up on semantics. So the fact that you're an immigrant speaks volumes. It means you chose to come here. But America didn't start that way for black people. They didn't immigrate here. They were living somewhere else, and they were kidnapped and raped and murdered and taken here. And so for you to just say this is...
So that is true.
...a magnificent place that doesn't have racism is actually, I think, more of a foundational lie than anything else.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Yeah. I did not say that.
You said that it's the most hyperbole...
Racism doesn't exist. I said the term...
Wait, okay. It's one of the most diverse countries. Racism still exists, but you don't need to take it as far as saying this is a white supremacist country. Oh my God. Jon Stewart is going full John Strawman right now.
White supremacy is an absurd hyperbole. For most people, that means the KKK. It means no rights for minorities.
Okay,
and this has
then
been
let's
used
define the term.
Simply to avoid an argument.
So let's take a step back and let's define what we mean by white supremacy. When you say white supremacy, how are you defining it for this conversation?
When I talk about white supremacy and when I talk about racism, I'm talking about power and privilege, the power and privilege that we hold as white people in society, the way in which our structures, our institutions, our systems, how everything was designed with white people in mind and only white people in mind. If you think about who is white in society, how it has morphed.
Oh, dude, I'm a Jew. I was grandfathered in like 50 years ago.
Right.
Here's what they did. Brown people started coming, they're like, we're gonna need some Jews. And so they brought us in.
Absolutely.
It expands.
But it does that to hold up the pillars of the systems that are in place.
And but you think it's purposeful?
It's absolutely purposeful.
Andrew,
Oh,
would you...
come on. What? Okay. I don't even know how to respond to this. Like, she's almost making like the reverse white nationalist argument that America was built for white people. I don't believe that. I think that America was built for everyone and that there are certain institutions that still exist that fuck over black people, but we can change that. This doesn't need to be as complicated as this. And then she says it's purposeful? What do you mean? Do you mean it was purposely built for white people? in the very beginning? I don't... Oh, my God. Hey, Toxic Male, I'm going to send you the Discord. If you don't join... Wait. What? Oh. That was not the Discord that I just copied there. That was somebody I was trying to unban before. Toxic Male, I'm going to send you the Discord. You are welcome to join. If you're too scared, then you will be banned because you're being really annoying and brain dead in the chat, and I would prefer not to hear your dribble any longer.
Argument be that you don't believe that that's purposeful or that it doesn't exist?
I don't believe it exists.
Okay.
I don't know what these systems are.
Okay, so
give me one system.
All right, redlining neighborhoods.
Capitalism?
No, redlining
That's
neighborhoods.
a state. That was a state-enforced thing from Jim Crow, which is the one point at which I think absolutely is true.
So you just said it doesn't exist except for that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I said white supremacy doesn't exist.
But so when the New Deal was passed, right?
Okay, wait. So the redlining, it's my understanding that these were federal banks. I don't think that this was on a state-by-state level. These were federal banks, weren't they? No, that couldn't be right. I would have to look into the exact. Let's read about it again. I had a really good article on it, and oh, this was the article: A Forgotten History of How the U.S. Government Segregated America. Okay, so it was the federal government. Okay, cool. So it was in 1933. They were faced with a housing shortage. It was the federal government that began a program explicitly designed to increase and segregate America's housing stock. The government's efforts were primarily designed to provide housing to white, middle-class, lower-middle-class families. African Americans and other people of color were left out of the new suburban communities and pushed instead into urban housing projects. So even this is a good example. Black people still disproportionately live in urban housing. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because they're all dumb? Or do you think that there was a explicit move by the government to segregate black people? So this was federal. He was wrong to say it was a state thing. He notes that the Federal Housing Administration, which was established in 1934, furthered the segregation efforts by refusing to insure mortgages in and near African American neighborhoods, a policy known as redlining. At the time, the Federal Housing Administration was subsidizing builders who were mass-producing entire subdivisions for whites with the requirement that none of the homes be sold to black people. Wait, did I miss it? Was it local and state? State-sponsored segregation? Examines the local, state, and federal housing policies that mandated segregation. Yeah, but this was the Federal Housing Administration, which oversaw all of that. So it might be a little bit different on a state-to-state basis, but it was still a federal effort, is the point that I was making. And then they go on to explain how this old housing policies have had lasting effects on American society. The segregation of our metropolitan areas today leads to stagnant inequality because families are much less able to be upwardly mobile when they're living in segregated neighborhoods where opportunity is absent. And this is still an issue going on today. So in the case of redlining, this was an explicit attempt at segregating white and black people. This was an explicit attempt to more or less fuck over black people. But it's not fair to then say because of this policy, all white people are now upholding these systems. This is literally bullshit and doesn't help your point at all.
When the New Deal was passed, black people were explicitly not allowed to have those loans. When the Homestead Act allowed white people to get an enormous wealth of land and be able to farm it, black people did not have access to that. When slaves were freed, when Social Security came, black people, when the GI Bill, black people were not. So when you say to me, I don't get how this exists, I'm just having trouble figuring out, like, I mean, you're a bright guy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Honestly. Like,
come on. What? Dude. Ugh. These aren't even arguments. I can't even say that this is a dog shit argument. It's not hard to explain how there are or were policies in the past that are still screwing black people over today. White people don't need to take responsibility for that. Everybody in America needs to recognize that black people are screwed over because of these previous policies, so we can all move forward into improving this. For example, investing in these urban areas to bring more jobs there, to help people make more money in their communities, to provide more of an ability for upward mobility. When people make more money, guess what? They pay more taxes. Guess what? More taxes means better public schools. Now we're going to see black people getting better schools, as opposed to right now, black schools that black people are going to, again, not all black people, but black people primarily in these urban areas, they're oftentimes forced to go to public schools that are also dog shit because they're funded by tax dollars. Redlining was based on area, low income, not race. Okay, Toxic Male, did you join the Discord? Because you're permanently banned. Holy shit. If anybody should be segregated, it's Toxic Male. Yes, chatters, I agree that we should segregate the brain dead from the people with brains.
I don't know. So, Chip, you jump in. And I don't mean to attack you. I'm just confused. Chip.
First off, the false analogy is this, equating 250 years of slavery and then 100 years of Jim Crow with the immigrant experiences of white Europeans from 1870 to 1924. I grew up in an Italian-Jewish neighborhood in Philadelphia, working class, but you know how these folks made it? They got jobs in the government, civil jobs, cops, union jobs. These were all off limits. If you were brown or black, forget it. Here's the real deal about everything, is that whites came to believe that everything good, the jobs, the land, the suburbs, it was theirs. And when blacks try to encroach, that's when you have the pushback. That's when you have riots about busing. That's when you have terrorism. So I don't know, I get Andrew, I know Andrew's history, but like, I don't even remotely understand.
Every time he says whites, I literally cringe. Every time he says whites came to think of this way. Holy shit, man. If you guys want to help me restore my brain cells, consider donating in the super chat, okay? Help my white privilege, please. This isn't even on 2 times. This is just on like a little bit faster.
Terrorism. So I don't know, I get Andrew, I know Andrew's history, but like, I don't even remotely understand what he's saying about American history, because it is not in any way, people that have studied it, this is nothing like what he's talking about.
No one is denying this awful history, nor is anyone denying.
Great. So let's talk productively about what we do about it. I think the conversation is then this. We have an awful history. Its remnants are still felt today.
We also have a great history, John.
Say it again?
We also have a great history.
But I think you're minimizing it. You're suggesting that because
I think by calling today white supremacy, you are minimizing actual white supremacy. You have an incredible diversity to condemn all.
I actually kind of agree with this guy on that point. It's true. Like we are literally losing the meaning of the word white supremacy if we're going to say this is a white supremacist country.
American
it's not. I disagree that they're generalizing all white people. The systems that were racist that were put in place.
Systems.
Yes. The systems that were put in place.
I'd like you to explain exactly what they are.
Well, I thought I explained it earlier about the GI Bill and about the New Deal.
That's one thing. I want to know about these systems.
I just explained it. Housing.
That's food. One, and I've agreed that.
Andrew, you're not living on the same fucking planet we are. Honestly.
Okay, it's just everybody's making stupid arguments at once. It's just like a fucking dumb fuck argument factory. We literally have 4 chuckle fucks up here. None of them are making their points well. This guy's missing the fact that these specific systems they're talking about still have effects today, which is why we're talking about systemic racism. And Jon Stewart is still holding on to like the one housing policy, which is not the only thing that happened. There's also the criminal justice system that is currently systemically racist in regards to black people. There's policing. Since there's more crime in these communities, there's also more police officers there. Intuitively, that sounds correct because more crime put more cops, but then you have more cops, which means you make it so that black people have a higher likelihood of running into the cops and a higher likelihood of experiencing police brutality. All of this shit works together to put black people in a less than ideal situation, even nowadays. Dude, you have 2 people, an author of sociology or something, and a Karen of racism. How do you not know how to explain this? How is this local little privileged white explaining this shit better than you people? Come on. This is hurting me, dude.
I don't think you
I
are.
think you are not living. I think you are not living in the planet most Americans are, which is why this kind of extremism,
Right.
this anti-white extremism,
Yes.
is losing popular support, is creating a backlash, is going to elect Republicans and
Yeah.
undo a lot of the good you think you're doing.
This is what happens when you don't talk about it.
I'm in
This is
favor
what
of talking
Oh, God. I need to go back. I can't do this. Imagine banning someone for stating a basic fact, LOL. Hunter's gay. Okay. Imagine making an account after me just to come on here and troll and then getting banned immediately. Oof, that hurts, buddy. See ya. All right, let's go back. I kind of missed that.
to Republicans and
Yeah.
undo a lot of the good you think you're doing.
This is what
Secondly,
happens when you
try
don't-
Wait.
white extremism.
Honestly, I really don't think you
I
are.
think you are not living. I think you are not living in the planet most Americans are, which is why this kind of extremism,
Right.
this anti-white extremism,
Yes.
is losing popular support, is creating a backlash, is going to elect Republicans and
Yeah.
undo a lot of the good you think you're doing.
This is what happens.
This is like we've gotten to the point now where we're just arguing over semantics here. He just needs to say that it's not fair to call it white supremacy. See, this is another really good point, and I wish I had told this to the person I was talking to earlier in regards to debate. And this is why this is looking like such a fucking train wreck. It's because they're all arguing against each other, right? But none of them are providing a better narrative. They're all arguing. They're all trying to say, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. But none of them are actually providing a better explanation. We have this guy over here on the screen saying anti-white sentiments, which is also kind of weird sounding, not explaining exactly how and what that really means. And then you have these other people over here just saying, no, systems, white people, they think they're not racist, but they are. No one's actually giving a real explanation. They're not providing a better narrative, and that's one of the reasons why this feels so goddamn terrible, so cringy.
It's going to elect Republicans and
Yeah.
undo a lot of the good you think you're doing.
This is what
Secondly,
happens when you
we
don't
need to
talk about
reform-
it.
I'm in
This is
favor
what
of talking about it.
happens
I
when
do
white
too.
people don't talk about it, is you have racist dog whistle tropes like this that actually perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate. So
Holy shit. Can I talk to this? Can I talk to this lady? Dude. I can't even respond. It hurts too much. This is just call him racist, guys. Just say racist dog whistle dude. Come on, man. Now, I agree that when you say anti-white sentiments, it does sound yikesy. It could be used as a dog whistle, but it is unfair to accuse that guy of being racist and engaging with racist dog whistles. Come on. Is this her whole thing? Does she just write like a bunch of buzzwords on paper? Is that what her blog is like? Oh my god, dude. This is really, really hurting.
like this that actually perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate. So I did not come on this show to sit here and argue with another white man. That's one of the reasons that we don't even engage with white men at Race to Dinner.
What? No! Oh god! I'm gonna throw up! Holy shit, where is it? Where's the cone? Karen. Okay? The cone says no. The cone has spoken. The cone must be obeyed. And the cone says no. This is killing me. This is hurting my brain cells worse than dipshit conservative talking points. Because I agree that systemic racism is a problem, but they're all delivering it fucking horribly. This is why we don't even engage with white people. Girl, have you looked in the mirror? You're white. How are you not engaging with white people when you host a show as a white person? Yeah, okay. She's the good white and everyone else is the bad white. I can't. Holy shit. I'm actually in pain right now. And then she just falls back on the fucking idpol shit. You're a white man, so I think that your opinion is invalid. Notice how they're talking about how talking about these issues can sometimes lead to resentment. Do you think that saying we don't even allow white people on our show and you're just white, so shut the fuck up, is helpful to the conversation? You just accused the other dude of a racist dog whistle, and now you're engaging in a tactic that literally, unironically, pushes everybody away. Like, Karen, I agree with you overall that systemic racism exists, but you are hurting the cause. No one else is going to agree with you when you use shit like this. Oh, man. I'm sorry, guys. There's only 10 minutes left, but it's hurting so bad.
So I did not come on this show to sit here and argue with another white man. That's one of the reasons that we don't even engage with white men at Race to Dinner. You know, because quite honestly, if white men were going to do something about racism, you had 400 years. You could have done it. Okay?
Are we kidding right now? They're unironically doing it. She's unironically doing the all white people are to blame for slavery thing. She's doing that right now. Is this like a competition? Who can be the worst optically? I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know that me as a white man, you see, I have the biblical length of life, and I'm able to live to be 1,000. And for half my life, I decided not to do anything. Uh-oh, wait. Oh, no. Is my stream getting stopped? Hold on. Can you guys still see me here? Because it's saying your stream may be temporarily blocked. Fuck, dude. How do you respond to that? How do people go over this without getting fucking copyrighted? It's saying, heads up, we've detected copyrighted audio and video in your stream. Your stream may be temporarily blocked. Dude. I'm gonna have to kick it up another speed, I think. And maybe make it smaller?
I am 58 years old.
I'm shutting you down right now.
I am not responsible for anyone before me.
The point is, I'm so tired of just engaging.
Oh my god. I think I'm just gonna have to pause it like every other minute, you know? Make the video really small and pause. Is that how you get through it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to just be really, really careful, I guess, to pause it frequently. So, she's like every, optical nightmare conglomerated into one potato-sized human being. She's actually up here doing the, I'm gonna shut you down, white boy. Shut the fuck up, whitey. Like, do you know how many white people marched with Black Lives Matter? Why? Like, you're just hurting your cause right now. I'm sorry. I'm in so much pain. It's hard for me to go on. I'm gonna have to adjust this too to make it so that... Wait. Hold on. No. I'm gonna have to fade the audio, guys. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. You know what? You're right, chat. She is literally what makes it cringe to say that you're politically right. Or politically left, sorry. Seriously. I can't even believe this, dude. This is horrid.
Engaging this conversation and this deep hurt that Andrew has about talking about racism, and Chip, God bless you, but I'm gonna put everybody in the thing. All of us white people do this. I don't care if we say we're abolitionists. I don't care if we say we're progressive. I don't care if we're literally members of the KKK. Every single white person upholds these systems and structures of white supremacy, and we have got to talk about it.
We have got to talk about it, but you're telling white people to shut the fuck up. Are you okay right now? Are you good, lady? Do you hear yourself talking? First of all, no. I reject this conclusion that all white people uphold this something. or uphold this racist system. That's bullshit, okay? You can just talk about how white people are sometimes disproportionately benefited by certain systems and how black people are disproportionately negatively affected by some of these systems. Second of all, again, I know I already said this, but it's too funny to not say it again. How do you say, we need to talk about this in the most shrill Karen voice imaginable, right after saying, no, shut up, you're white? Lady, you're crazy. You're literally crazy. And the fucking audience is actually killing me too. Are there signs that say like clap and cheer now? Or is she unironically, or is the audience unironically just like, yeah, white people bad, including me?
If I could finger snap, I would finger snap right now. Let's
you
remove it then from
by calling me a racist, Sean.
You've been doing a pretty good job with it yourself there. So, but Andrew, you're taking.
You're just doing it. Stop calling everybody racist for like denying certain levels of systemic racism. Do you realize that the dude just said he doesn't think America's a white supremacist country, and now you're all ganging up on him, calling him a fucking racist? I'm hurting right now. So what's the answer? Sitting here and clowning the people who actually care about the problem isn't going to help. First of all, I don't know why you're jumping on here to whine and complain about my approach. Second of all, I've literally been giving alternative arguments this entire time, and apparently you just showed up to then like bitch, whine, and moan in the chat. So I don't know what your deal is, pal. But yeah, we should clown on people like this. They're doing a disservice to people who are on the left that actually have these arguments and know how to make the arguments right.
Words out of context and blowing them out of proportion so that you don't have to deal with having to figure out a way to deconstruct the barriers that were put in place for black people in this country and give them a better chance.
Your opening segment
was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Biggest reductionist, one-sided,
Yes.
completely biased position.
Yes, Andrew, you are correct.
When I wanted, have you lived in the same country as everybody else the last 30 years? It was a straw man that you created.
Andrew,
a total straw man.
You can appreciate.
He kind of did make a straw man, actually. And now this dude is starting to lose his composure on the screen. This is actually just a train wreck.
Every white person was bad.
Let me just
Every black person had the same position.
You can appreciate where you live. You can love where you live, and you can honestly diagnose a terrible, terrible illness that has lived in this beautiful place that you call home and love, that you believe has metastasized into a cancer that can kill the very thing that you believe in so deeply about this country. To improve that place.
Yeah, but how can you say this is a beautiful place while simultaneously saying it's a white supremacist country?
And make it into the country that it stated it was in its founding documents is the duty of everybody who lives here. So do not tell me who I am or what I believe, a motherfucker.
I'm just saying that you created a straw man.
He got him, guys.
I apologize. When you get older, it's harder to control the emotions. But let's talk about solutions. Lisa, I'll start with you. What is the future? How do we heal a country that has a really difficult time dealing with this, as we see from people that I think like and respect each other?
Do we want to do like a bingo? What do you guys think she's gonna say? Maybe white people need to realize that they're all privileged and upholding racism again, like what she's already been saying the whole time?
Still can't have a conversation.
I think the first thing that we need to understand is that all of us white people have a responsibility to engage in these conversations regularly.
But when it gets hot.
Wait, what? Do I even need commentary here? Or can we just all just laugh at the cognitive dissonance here? Holy shit, all of us white people need to have this conversation regularly. You just got done saying you never allow white people on your show. You just got done saying white people need to shut up. Oh man. This is she's the worst on this panel by far.
Not like this, what do you do? How do you back out of that and remind everybody like, hey, okay, let's take a breath. I think we're all decent, good-hearted people who are trying to do the right thing. We differ in how to do it.
Yes. I think that we have to know that we have to hold people accountable, but we also have to hold them with grace and with compassion. And we have to do each of them.
Literally, she is contradicting everything she just did in the last fucking minute. Is this a joke? This feels like an SNL skit. Show them with love and compassion, but no white people allowed on my show, even though I'm white? Are you okay right now? I think this lady may have taken a, yeah, I think Karen here took too many shots of wine before getting on here. Dude. It's so sad, too, because systemic racism isn't actually that hard to explain if you can explain it decently enough. But when we have Karens, and I'm going to keep calling her that, by the way, when you have fucking Karens up here contradicting everything you just said 5 seconds ago, all you do is you give ammunition to the right, and you give ammunition even to moderates, even to people that are like, I don't know, if systemic racism, what does that mean, you know? What exactly does that look like? And then you have some fucking idiot up here saying, yeah, well, actually, that means all white men need to shut the fuck up. We're all in a white supremacist country, and if you are the color white, then you probably have signed up for the Klan. Oh, and all white people are responsible for slavery. No more of this, man. Are these people leftists? Are they liberals? I think that maybe once you, maybe we should just, you know what? Let's not do the, let's not be discriminatory based on people's politics. You know, I think what we need to do is engage in some ageism. I think that now moving forward, if you're over the age of like 40, you're not allowed to talk about these things publicly. You're just not. You're either a fucking far right conservative or you're like this stupid Karen right here. All right, new plea. Bring back ageism. That's just a joke. It was only sarcasm. Please don't cancel me. I love you all.
Lisa's point, I think at the individual level, there are things we can do. At the big level, what I think is that a lot of racism, when you strip it away, it's about someone trying to take my resources, and status is a resource. We need something akin to a New Deal, to something to a Marshall Plan. We basically, instead of building another B-1 bomber or another carrier, basically we invest in our infrastructure, schools, bridges. I mean, the list is very, very long.
Right. Andrew.
Okay. Now, what this guy's saying is actually pretty good. Thank you for somebody saying something. That is true. Investing in the infrastructure is absolutely going to benefit. And, you know, I've said this before. Donald Trump even had a good idea. It didn't end up working, though. But it was a good idea, which was the opportunity zones. By providing incentives to buildings, by providing incentives to certain businesses so that they will invest in those areas. Wait, I thought I saw something in chat. Systemic racism is the greatest tool that the left has to ignore the rampant crime and violence in the black community. Hunter's tiny penis. All right, buddy. I'm sending you the Discord. Maybe we'll see Hunter's tiny penis jumping in here, okay? I'm afraid to disagree because I don't want to get banned. STV Philly, come on. I don't ban people for disagreeing. I tell them to get in the Discord, and then if they don't, they get banned.
I would think that's something actually that might appeal to you in terms of rebuilding infrastructure and things, because that's not based on, but it's rebuilding areas that are entrenched in poverty and those things.
It can be, absolutely, yes. But I'm sorry to say, I think just white people talking about this endlessly is not going to help actual black Americans to deal with it. I have certain ideas about that. I think we need to focus intensely on young education. I think education is crucial. I think figuring out a way to help black kids have a stable family. The truth is,
yes.
if you have a two-parent married home.
Wait, why is she cringing at this? That's true. And by the way, what he fails to realize here is that half of these problems is because half of these problems he just mentioned, lack of education, lack of fathers, is largely because of systemic racism. We just got done talking about how are these schools funded, right? They're funded by tax dollars. Okay, so if you're living in a poor area, you have a shittier education. This is literally, like, by fixing the problems this dude is talking about, you have to first realize the existence of systemic racism. But of course, he's not going to be able to do that because he was just told that he's a racist for saying America isn't a white supremacist country. You're going to debate your own flesh and blood. I'm actually just going to keep banning you because you're clearly a troll, and it's hilarious that you're making so many burner accounts just to come on here and say dumb shit. Like, if you're so desperate to say something stupid, then join my Discord and you can say it publicly, man.
Say something to you, Andrew.
You really are.
I didn't grow up in a stable family. I grew up in a single-parent family.
Why did you?
And so,
I'm just telling you the data.
what's
The data
onus?
is that 30% of African Americans don't have this. It's the biggest factor in getting people into college and succeeding in life. And if you ignore it, we're going to let these black kids down.
No, I think Andrew, I mean, what I'm hearing is like the family, the pathology of the black family. That was the line. It wasn't the black family. It was the structures. You know, in the 80s, it was crack. It's a disinvestment. It's white flight. Family stability, there's an element of economic stability and family stability. And like that's lost in your conversation.
I feel like
He's not explaining that well either. First of all, there are studies to show actually that black people do have more fathers involved, but unfortunately it costs money to get a marriage license. So if you're living in a place where money is extremely tight, if you're living in poverty, you're less likely to be legally married. So the statistics showing single motherhood are slightly off, or not even slightly, they're pretty largely off because the father is actually involved. They're just not formally married. So that's the first thing. Second of all, these problems he's talking about, you fix them by addressing systemic racism. Dude is interested in debating on gun rights. I'm sorry, I do not care enough about gun rights stuff. I think that people have rights to have guns, but they should be pretty well regulated. That's my take.
defensiveness and the tropes that you use about the black family being the cause of entrenched poverty in that community ignores why those families are broken up in the first place, and that's mass incarceration, and that's the way that we view the crack epidemic, and that's the economic opportunity over generations that was mine. So you keep trying.
So John Stewart is right here. That's true. The drug war, for example, led to massive amounts of black people getting locked up. That's true, and that's systemic racism.
Trying to remove things from their historical bearings, and I just think that's
No.
If you can't diagnose the problem, you can't fix it.
We
So
need to think about how we help the family restructure itself, because it's key.
let's boil it
No,
down.
I mean,
Then. Why do you think the family got that way?
Because I do think it wasn't marriage became less important, sex outside of marriage became more for all of us.
But
And
you're
now
not
we're seeing
talking about
things
all of
happening
us,
with white
Andrew.
families.
You're talking about.
No, but we also.
You're talking about
What I'm saying is that when you look
specifically
at white
the black
families
community.
today, you see the same thing.
Oh, so you're upset about that as well?
Of course I am.
Okay,
I'm
all
not
right.
blaming them. This is a family.
Okay, so now this guy is making pretty stupid fucking takes. This is pretty much just the they need to get married more, and now everybody wants to have sex out of wedlock, and that's the problem. This is really stupid. This is a dumb fuck take.
Family question. Why not black you're going to do better if your parents stay at home and take care of you until you leave home? It's just a fact.
How are you supposed to do that when you work a low-income job and you don't have childcare?
Well, it's really tough, which is why we need to address that. Absolutely.
But that's what we just talked
Of
about.
course we do, and yeah, that's important. I agree. I would spend more on that. I'd spend more on schooling. I would spend more on childcare. But I do
How are the schools funded? These are such simple questions and answers.
not think you can dismiss culture.
So that's the point that
I
I'm getting to, Andrew.
Come
I think you've-
on, dude. Come on, man. I was kind of on this guy's side, at least in the sense that he was being unfairly characterized. Now you're going the culture route. Yup, it's just the culture, bruh. That's the problem, you know? Black people, they're sleeping around, pull their pants up. Bruh. First of all, that's a cop-out answer. Second of all, why do they have that culture? Maybe you should think about that. How is culture formed? Do you think black people are just like intrinsically more likely to have like the gangsta culture? Or do you think that they're racist policies that contributed to poverty, which contributed to more crime, which contributes to a more adversarial relationship with police, and in turn, when you're in a community that's more adversarial with police, you're also more likely to turn to outside protection. You're more likely to turn to gangs. You start seeing gangs in a different light. There are so many different ways as to how this is affected. They're all missing the point.
been dodging around. What do you mean by culture?
I mean a culture in which the family unit is not as strong as it might be, and in which the sense of making it in
Why
America
is it not as
regarded
strong
something
as it
that
might
not
be? You're not talking
And that's
about
the source
everybody.
of a lot of our problems.
You're talking about
I
black
am,
people.
but
Why do you think you seem to feel like somehow black culture is uniquely destructive to family? Why?
I don't, to be honest with you, I'm just telling you that's what is the truth. But 30% are still born out of wedlock. It's only born out of wedlock. I mean, it's a complicated question.
Well, that's why I'm asking you to explain it. Tell me.
It's also a function of, well, I think it's a function of social conservatism losing its grip in African-American communities. In the 1930s, the family retention rate, the marriage rate, was, I think, in the 80s, 80%.
Oh, God. Now I'm getting even more triggered. So this is another really common conservative talking point you'll hear. Well, back when there was still slavery and Jim Crow, the black families stayed together more. First of all, if you're literally oppressed in a broader society, yeah, a community is probably more likely to stick together. Second of all, when we had things like the New Deal and other things that provided more economic mobility for women specifically, now women no longer are tied down to their dipshit abusive husbands, and they're able to pursue their own life. The reason we now don't see as much marriage is because women no longer need a man to survive in society. Yes, having a nuclear family, as in two parents raising their kids in a stable environment, this applies to gay people also, that is obviously the most beneficial thing for a child. But if you're just going to talk about marriage rates, the reason marriage rates are decreasing is largely because women have more freedom. I'm suffering. I am suffering. And super chatters, you're not helping out enough, okay? You're not making this worth my time. I don't suffer for free. John Sykes, thank you for the $5. Just came from watching Destiny talk about this cringe John Stewart clip. I was hoping that you'd cover it. I'm to the left of you, but God, please kill me. Yeah, it's really fucking bad. But thank you very much for the generous $5 donation, my friend. I really appreciate that.
It was 80% in Harlem in 1928, and it's only 30% now. We need to get it back to where it was, to have a better chance for black kids to succeed. That's what I'm talking about.
Because you care about black kids.
So we'll look into that.
They're just like being passive aggressive. They're not actually addressing his argument. Do they realize that he's winning this exchange? His bullshit. So it's women's fault at Hunter Avallone? Did you unironically take that away from what I just said? What do you mean? It's not women's fault. It's now that society has changed and women no longer are tied down to men. It's no longer a necessity. So we're going to see marriage rates decline as well. But secondly, I see people saying in chat, and this is a good point, let's say, for example, that the welfare system is breaking up black families at higher rates than it's breaking up white families. Let's just say that that's true. Now, I think you see the rate of single motherhood raise, the rates go up across all races. I don't think that this is specific to black people, but let's say for the sake of this argument, like what this guy's saying, that maybe, yeah, there's welfare and that's fucking over black people. So what you're telling me right now is that there is a system in place that disproportionately affects black people in a negative way. If only there was a term for that, you know? Maybe like systemic racism. That's what we could call it. How much longer of this video, man? Come on. Oh, good. It's almost over. Thank God.
And we'll get there, but people in those communities want a better quality of life. Whatever we have to do to get there for them to attain quality of life. It's not about broken marriage, please. It's about...
It's super cringy how he changed. All right, I'm sending you the Discord, buddy. I would like you to join and tell me how it's cringy that I've changed. I look forward to our conversation.
Communities want a better quality of life. Whatever we have to do to get there for them to attain quality of life. It's not about broken marriage, please. It's about how do we get people to have the quality of life that we all as Americans deserve. I think that we can all agree on. And what a wonderful moment of kumbaya at the end. I've appreciated everyone taking the time to do this. Boy, as it pointed out, some fault lines we've got to recalibrate and find a way to be open to all different stripes of white people in the conversation, whether they be people who study it, people who spend their lives trying to change it, or people who are very upset about having to do that.
They're treating this guy really fucking unfairly, and I don't know if they recognize the fact that they're literally letting this guy win the exchange. He's wrong, but they're letting him win by refusing to actually address his points and just snarkily being like, so basically you're just fucking racist? God, man.
Thank you very much, Andrew Sullivan, Lisa, and Chip. All right, we'll be right back.
Oh. Wow. I'm actually I'm at a loss for words. This is very rare to happen to little old me, to be out of words, but holy shit. That was painful. That was so bad. Okay, so, yeah, all you white people, come on, man. Why didn't you change racism 400 years ago? Uh-huh. Yeah, the woman really was the worst on this panel. Absolutely. I kind of want to look up her shit. Hold on. What's her name? Let's see. Hold on. Why do I keep missing it? Hold on. Blah, blah, blah. Where do you introduce them? Okay, we have this dude. Ah, here we go. Lisa Bond, Race to Dinner. Does she have like a restaurant where with every meal is like a little card that's like, if you are white, you have upheld white supremacy today. Oh my God. Let's look her up. Lisa Bond. Race to Dinner. Where's her website? What? Anti-racist dinner parties? Two entrepreneurs have built a business dredging up white women's shame. This is the article that references her? Okay. Here we go. Here's the website. Our vision, liberation, a world free of white supremacy, patriarchy, misogyny, all the isms, all the phobias and hate. A world where all of us human beings have value, dignity, respect, and we need to live how we choose. Okay. 8 women at a time. We believe that no action can be sustained without community. Yeah, just, no white people allowed. Do they have like a policy? Is there like a policy anywhere that's like, if you are white, please exit the website? I hate the fact when these chuckle fucks unironically play into the right-wing stereotype of like the lib cucks. It does a harm to all of us. To everybody that actually tries to argue that systemic racism is a problem, people like this lady do a net harm to that cause. I wish that Jon Stewart would have me on next. Oh, shit. Wait. Choose a plan. You mean you pay for this? Wait, there actually is no... What? $750 to unravel the whiteness within? This has gotta be a joke. It'll get you radically honest conversations about race. Okay, about our racism. You'll have access to these amazing resources. Race to Dinner Handbook. And the White Woman's Salon. I can't believe this is real. Is this a joke? You know what? Are we getting trolled right now? Is this lady like a massive conservative trying to make the liberals look bad? Is that what's going on? Is this like a right-wing psyop? Race to Community is an year-long community building program. I'm not usually one to be a stickler for grammar, but it's a year-long community. Hey, if I'm spending $750 for this shit, then I bet the description better be spelled right. Race to Community is a year-long community building program designed to help white women unravel the whiteness within. You've heard of my dark passenger, right? Well, I have the white passenger. Release the whiteness within. Is it like the movie Alien where it's like, it like breaks out like a little Klans member just pops out of your chest? Is that what this is? During this time, you'll participate in an 8-week learning program and continue meeting as a cohort twice a month for the remainder of the year. Over the course of the program, you will engage in deep introspection surrounding your own internalized white supremacy, participate in group discussions through our online forum, and build community with cohort members. This program is for you if you are a white woman committed to tearing down systems of oppression that impact us all. All right, white women, are you ready to spend $750 to be told that you are a white woman with white supremacy inside of you? You understand that you need a community as you strive to live an anti-racist life. You are stuck on your path. You know there's more to be done, but you don't know how to proceed. Well, sorry, Lisa, but you didn't really show a very good example on the little panel. You're scared of making mistakes or confused by your own fragility. You want to build a white identity that is not based on whiteness, white supremacy, or the oppression of Black, Indigenous, or other people of color. How is like a white identity intrinsically based on white supremacy? I don't know. What you'll pay, $750. That's right, ladies. All you oppressed white women, take it out of your wine fund, ask your husband for his credit card, click that buy button, and release the racism within. I'm just surprised. For women with financial barriers. So if you have a problem, if you don't have $750 just to put down to hear how you're racist, then you can pay monthly for only $15 a month. There is a free one. I guess I can't. Oh man, I would love to sign up, but I'm a white guy. Damn it. Well, that hurt. This is going to haunt me my nightmares. All right, guys. I'll be right back, and then I'm going to finish up my my conversation with that guy, and then I might be wrapping up my stream. We might have to talk about woke Oreos next time. All right, I'm back. Joe the Bobber Boomerang. That is true. You should be paid $750 to watch it. You know what? I agree with that. Maybe we should all start our own business, and it can be like a you know, hey, $750 and we'll tell you you're not allowed to have this conversation. Well, shout out to you, lady, for single-handedly destroying any hope of having a good conversation regarding systemic racism. Congratulations. You've single-handedly done it. You have single-handedly destroyed your mission in one 20-minute segment. John Sykes, hey man, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Imagine paying even $7.50 to listen to that chick. That's true, man. I just listened to this for free and I'm dying over here. It's painful. Hunter, why don't you upload on Spotify anymore? I do. Check out my Spotify. I have some new episodes on there. I'm trying to get it all uploaded at once, and it's a lot. Low IQ, middle-aged, wealthy whites feel guilty after learning about systemic racism, and their solution is to pay a dumb bitch $700 to tell them they're not racist. Oh, to tell them that they are racist, sorry. Yeah. I have never been in so much pain. All right, Did this guy show up? I know he was waiting in the waiting room for a while. I mean, I was already in the middle of a segment. Oh, he said he has to go to dinner. Okay. Well, let's talk another time soon. I think these people and TERFs are actually just conservatives making fun of people. It seems like it. Hey Hunter, live, laugh, love. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the very nice reminder. To live. I actually need a reminder purely to live after watching this hellhole of a video. Okay. People are asking about the woke Oreos, so why don't we do this? The woke Oreos, okay? I try to... Hey, Hunter has a PayPal if you want to support the stream, but I'll personally make sure you all dump your life savings into his PayPal instead. Thank you, Skykeeper. Very nice. I'd rather give you a $750 super chat than be paid $750 for that. Go for it, man. You know, if you want to put $750 in the super chat, oh man, you would fucking own me so hard. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Oreos. Now, back in my day, Oreos were cookies. Now they're cookies that also play into what's socially acceptable and will help them make more money. And it's for that reason that I am mad. Let's go ahead and look up the Oreo coming out commercial. Wait, how does it have no dislikes? This has got to be, are they removing dislikes? Because I have the dislike thing, and, okay. So, first thing I want to point out is that, are we all forgetting that Oreos already went woke last year when they had the rainbow Oreos? Are we forgetting about that one? Okay. They already went woke when they featured the rainbow in their cookies. Now, if you're a Christian conservative, you could look at this as like an honoring of God, who flooded the earth and murdered everyone except Noah and his family, and then put a rainbow in the sky afterwards because he was really happy that he murdered everybody by drowning them all to death. And so he celebrated with a rainbow. You could always look at it that way. Or you could just get really mad about it. Most likely conservatives were mad about this. I don't really remember. So we already had woke Oreos, okay? And now Oreos are back. They're back again with a short film called The Note. So I'm thinking maybe we should watch this and then we'll watch what the Quartering has to say. I'm sure the Quartering's going to have a really nuanced take on this one. I cannot wait to hear his salient points. Or we can watch Matt Walsh's take. It's one or the other. We are absolutely not watching both. You, chat, you can choose. Either Matt Walshed up or the Quivering. Make your choice while we watch this commercial, okay?
我们都是
We are all one
一家人。
family.
你
Okay.
们绕过
I know
半
you
个地
came
球来
halfway
着，
around the world
就是想给我们
so we
更
can
好的
have
生
a
活。
better life. This was a short film, by the way, made by Alice Wu, so that's why it's in Chinese.
可是我是
But I am gay. Okay, so he has a note that says, I am gay. And he's reading it, I guess, to his family? Very dramatic how it's filmed. Ooh. Okay.
可是
But
我
I am gay. Is he gonna say it?
爱你。
Love you? I don't understand. Oh, no, wait, what the fuck is happening right now? This is actually making me a little uncomfortable.
I
爱
Love. Uh-huh.
我爱你。
I love you?
I think you're ready.
Hey, we got English. I think you're ready. There's an Oreo.
你呢？
And
你
you?
ready 了吗？
Are you ready? Okay. So what's happening? Is this like the what's going on? Is this the this guy's gay and then extended family are coming over and they're going to tell them that he's gay? Is that what's going on here? It's a little confusing. I do not know what that says. Better life, but I am gay. She might be my mother, but you are my son. Okay, so I guess the grandma is coming over who's probably bigoted, and the mom is giving him a note saying, hey, I love you no matter what. Is that it so far? I mean, this is kind of sweet. This is kind of nice. But again, we can always understand where it's going to go. Anytime you see a depiction of a gay person, or really anybody, living their lives happily with a strong emphasis on love and compassion, that's sure to get conservatives super fucking angry. Okay. Coming out doesn't just happen once. Oreo. Be a lifelong ally. In collaboration, this is very important to when we move forward in this, okay? In collaboration with PF Flag. Now, I'm not sure what P Flag is. I'm guessing that's Pride Flag? What's P Flag? Is the first and largest organization for the LGBT community and their parents and families. Okay. So here we have an Oreo commercial, a kind of sweet Oreo commercial that was a little bit hard to understand. in fairness, in which the son is gay. He tells his mom, she accepts him. And it's like I don't understand. Like, is this what's considered woke now? Just a gay person? Remember, the right has really run out of stuff to complain about. So now it's like, oh, a commercial in which a gay person is happy? Let us get angry about this one. So that's the commercial that currently has conservatives very, very angry. Yeah, so what did we decide to choose? Are we doing Matt Walsh or the Quivering? What do we want? Somebody could always put their suggestion in the super chat for an instant pick. It's just so funny. Is this really what they're after now? Oh no. Gay people are real? The woke. Quivering? All right, let's do quarter pounder. Hilarious woke backfire for Oreo cookies as company shredded for new tweet. Wait, what's the tweet? Is this not regarding the commercial? Because if it's not regarding the commercial, then we're not wasting our time with this shit. All right, let's hear what this loser has to say. Take it away, quarter pounder.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and I bet you didn't know this, but, you know, the political opinions...
Hold on, he's about to say something dumb, so I'd like to make it louder.
Jeremy here from the Quartering, and I bet you didn't know this, but, you know, the political opinions of your cookie company is something that you should know. I mean, finally, we know now that if we eat cookies, you now know exactly what their stance is on the LGBTQ community, because Oreo put out a 2-minute and 30-second video that has been getting absolutely demolished on social media because, well...
Why is he saying that sarcastically? Does he not understand that literally every single company panders and engages in a level of virtue signaling? Does that not process with his quarter of a brain cell? Is that it? Does he not get the fact that literally that's what capitalism is? Where it's popular to support gay people, so we see companies supporting gay people? Also, it's funny that he's like, apparently we all care, lol. You people care far more. You're the type of people who screech all day about cancel culture that won't buy a pack of cookies because there was a commercial in which a gay person was depicted being happy.
Well, nobody cares. The literal silence corporation thing can't be applicable enough. Ultimately, what you have is the agenda pushing of corporations. And by the way, it's...
What agenda? What is the agenda here? That gay people are valid and should be loved and accepted by their families? I don't think he believes a word of anything he's saying, by the way. I think that he has like the several little buzzwords he needs to list off. Woke, pandering, agenda, and then he stretches it into a fucking 11-minute video and then just spiels off a bunch of brain dead takes.
2022. I'm not sure that coming out is some sort of heroic event anymore. When I keep seeing all these TikTok teachers coming out to their 5th grade students and 4th grade students getting 100,000 likes and all this stuff, it's literally celebrated these days.
What? Guys, if you say you're gay on TikTok, you get a lot of likes. There's no discrimination. Unironically, the Quartering right now. Hey, then how come like LGBT people are disproportionately homeless? Because they're disproportionately kicked out of their homes because they're not accepted by their families. Quartering. But hey, I mean, they got 50 likes on TikTok, so clearly it's celebrated here in America. Holy shit.
I'm not sure. It's certainly if you have a more traditional family, there are some people who still have a decent amount of anxiety around coming out, but it's certainly far and away different than the 70s and the 80s or even the 90s, where now coming out is a marketing tool, okay?
It's not as bad as it used to be, so the problem isn't there at all? Is that what we're taking away? Yeah, it was worse to come out in the 70s. Now it's a little bit better to come out, but we still have like a good long way to go. Are you forgetting that it was just in 2015 when gay people were legally allowed to marry across all states? Like that just happened, buddy boy. I don't even know what to say.
I firmly believe that there are many people that have conveniently timed outings now. It's become a part of promoting comedy tours and things of that nature. But Oreo cookie.
What? Who? Can we have a single example? Second of all, for the dude to whine constantly about pandering, does he forget that he himself is pandering right now? He's pandering to his audience by engaging in this phony outrage over an innocuous little commercial. He is pandering right now. He's also virtue signaling. Do you forget the fact that every time you are up here preaching what you believe, that is a level of virtue signaling? Do you know that I virtue signal too? You are signaling to your supposed virtue. This is literally what everybody does, but you're mad about it because you're a bigoted piece of shit who doesn't like gay people because you think that it's all woke.
Cookies decided yesterday that they want to put this video, which got 4.8 million views, and let's see how it's doing from a ratio perspective. 4,300 comments to 4,300 likes. Not looking good. Your cookie must affirm your orientation. Oreo takes pro-LGBT stance and new ad spot. And by the way,
the Daily Wire. Wow, good to see that the quartering. You know, he's not a conservative or anything. He's just your nice little centrist who's just trying to make sure things aren't getting out of hand.
Most insulting part of this, obviously, look, I don't have any issues with, again, I've said a bazillion times, live your life, don't infringe anyone else's rights or hurt anybody or anything like that.
Here we go. Every time. I don't have any issues with gay people. I'm just making an 11-minute video seething and crying about the fact that gay people are shown on TV. You're virtue signaling, Jeremy. Come on, pal.
There are a lot of people that I'm happy. Look, a lot of people dunk on furries. I don't even dunk on furries, okay? You're welcome here as long as you're not hurting anyone else and everything of that nature. I understand that I don't understand.
Does this mean that you need to leave because you're hurting people all the time with your bullshit misinformation you spread to make money and that's it?
Understand everything, and that I don't need to understand everything. It literally doesn't matter if I don't understand why people wear fursuits. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't hurt me. So go live your life and have fun. Now, I'm not saying that's the exact same thing as being gay, but again, I don't really care who is, and as long as they live their best life and they want to be happy, I'm happy for you, okay?
But, here we go, but can you just not put it on TV so we can forget that you exist?
But it's embarrassing seeing corporations pander in this level. Like, corporations don't care. Like, this is classic.
Why is this ever an own? This is always the conservative go-to. Corporations don't care. First of all, in this direct commercial, they are giving advertising, at the very least, to another organization that does care about gay people. Second of all, it doesn't matter whether or not the company sincerely cares. What matters is the exposure and how that goes to help further normalize gay people. It literally doesn't matter whether Oreo cares about gay people or not. By them making this commercial, by them getting a bunch of views, by them getting a bunch of press, it is further normalizing gay people. Now, of course, not from the conservative side, because conservatives are terrified little snowflakes who are very fearful of the fact that some men like other men and some women like other women. But generally speaking, this is not a fucking argument. I've heard this one so many times. It's called woke capitalism. And you know what? Could they do better? Yeah. Should they actually donate to LGBT causes? Yeah. But by raising awareness and by further normalizing gay people, that is doing good. Whether they care or not, quivering.
Gay baiting, okay? Oreo wanted this video to get made, and Oreo wants all of the BreadTube videos to retweet and do all this stuff, and all they care about, the only thing they care about the LGBTQ community for is advertising. It's not even June yet, and already—
Do you not realize that that's a good thing, right? This is indicative of the fact that we're making significant progress here in this country. The fact that now it's popular to advertise and promote your brand as being pro-LGBT, this is a good thing. This is indicative of America becoming more accepting. Didn't the little quivering bitch boy just fucking say that as long as you're living your life, I don't care? So why are you mad that these commercials and this capitalism that I thought you supported, Mr. Republican boy, are further normalizing gay people so that they can live their lives happily without bothering other people? What? Why do you— It's not supposed to make sense.
are signaling their allegiance to the progressive LGBT agenda. The latest, this is via the Daily Wire, seemingly unaffiliated brand to come out in support of the cause is none other than Oreo cookie, which has been owned by the multinational food and beverage conglomerate.
Wow, such a great video. We're gonna skip your dramatic reading of the most conservative dipshit news publication next to Breitbart. Okay.
Spot, which featured a young man coming out to his grandmother. Coming out doesn't just happen once. It's a journey, young ally. How about this? I don't care. I'll be your friend. I'll be your ally because you're a good human being and that you've done right by me. Not on the list of things that are important to me about my friends, who they're banging isn't anywhere near the top 100. Okay. So
then why are you mad about it? This is like that dude that made the like 50-minute video whining about me while simultaneously saying he doesn't care about me. You do care, Quivering. Or perhaps he's just admitting to the grift? Do you think maybe he's just admitting he doesn't actually care? But I mean, hey, he's getting views. You know, he's got to make that bag. Got to get that money. Listen, guys, I have something serious to tell you, okay? The Quivering doesn't care, okay? All he wants is advertising. All he wants is money. We could apply your dumb fuck arguments to you also, dipshit.
And that's, I'm going to argue, is most like good-hearted people. And like, I have friends of all walks of lives, and, you know, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. We talk about,
he has gay friends and black friends. You know, he's so cool, so hip. Hey, Quartering, how do you think that gay people became more and more normalized? Do you think that it was because A, people like you who shit on every step to try and normalize gay people, or B, because you were born into a society where gay people were already largely normalized and have continued to be, partially because of woke capitalism that you shit on? Like, are you this fucking stupid?
what's going on in sports, or, you know, who to hire to do a furnace repair. This is the conversations normal people have, not this. This is a weird Twitter world, okay? The accompanying video shows a young man preparing for his visit from his grandmother, who apparently does cheat. And what placement in the video? You are also my son. By Oreo in partner with Woo.
His videos are so boring. It's always surprising to me whenever I watch his content that it's this easy to make right-wing content. Like, you just sit here unscripted, just like, so I have friends that are gay, and they're pretty cool, but like, why do you have to mention on TV that gay people are real? You know, that's woke, lol. God, you're stupid.
Companies and prominent figures, sure. You know, I can't make that, assertion here. Fast Company Oreo continues its LGBTQ plus allyship despite the culture war against, quote, woke companies.
Wait, why is he reading that headline? Now, I don't know what this article says, but is he forgetting the fact that this now directly contradicts what he just said? What? I thought they don't care and they're just doing it for the money and for the advertisements. And now, even though there's apparently some culture war against woke companies, they're sticking to it? Do you realize that this contradicts the statement you just made, buddy? Do you realize that? No, because you're running on 3 Big Macs and 2 hours of sleep.
The beloved Sandwich Cookie has debuted a new short film directed by Alice Wu, don't know who that is, don't care, to tell a sweet, touching story about a family journey of a young LGBTQ.
Man, he really doesn't care at all, guys. You know, he really doesn't care.
Plus, man, look. Cool. Good for this man, you know, hypothetically.
He is coping so hard right now.
What does it have to do with cookies? That's where you lose me. You know, and by the way, it's more than just this video. Notice the latest.
Wait, what are you talking about? So does every commercial need to be all about the you know how some commercials are about a product, but they depict something about that product in a different way? Second of all, there is literally, it doesn't have to only be about Oreos. It was not a commercial primarily for Oreos, but rather a commercial, and this is why I said this was important, about Oreo partnering with pro-LGBT organizations. That's what the advertisement was actually for. So the ad actually had everything to do with what they were advertising for. But again, you're stupid and brain dead, so you don't understand this.
In the result of a multi-year collaboration between Oreo and P-Flag National, and it is the launching point of its new, and here we get to the real reason, Lifelong Ally campaign, which includes a $500,000 donation to the advocacy organization.
Wait, I thought they don't care. Is he? Oh my God. Are you forgetting the fact that you just said they don't care? I thought they don't care. But now they're actually donating $500,000 to an advocacy organization? How does he say things and then read things that contradict it and think it's a good video? Like, this would be like me saying like, hey guys, you know, I'm really cool and I can do a backflip. That's how fucking cool I am, okay? I'm the modern day gymnastics god because I can do a backflip anytime, anywhere. Here's a video of me doing a backflip, and then it's like a video of me falling off my chair. Like, why are you saying things and then presenting things that contradict the thing you just said? This is what happens, by the way, when you have a quarter of a brain cell.
Your OREOS senior brand manager, Olympia Portelli, says the brand didn't want to show another coming out story, but worked with P-Flag ad agency, again, they're getting paid, and Woo to find insight for taking the discussion around coming out in a positive new direction. Okay, let's see what all of this has done for you. Okay, I'm curious. You know, let's see. Proud Oreo parent. This received 1 million views, and it came out October 9th, 2020. It has 24,000 likes and 1 million views. I wonder how many dislikes it has. Oh, not too bad. Only 3.8 thousand. That's actually pretty good. And what's interesting is I don't see this latest video. Oh, here we go. So they uploaded it to YouTube. It received a whopping 5,000 views. 5,000 views. It has 245 likes. They spent 500 grand plus for this, okay? And it has 240.
Wait, no. Did they spend $500,000 or did they donate the 500,000? The note is the latest result in a multi-year collaboration. Okay, and is launching point for its new Lifelong Ally campaign, which includes a $500,000 donation to the advocacy organization. So let me get this straight. They don't care, even though, according to you, they're standing firm despite the fact that they're getting a lot of backlash. They don't care and are only doing it for advertisements, even though they're donating $500,000 to a LGBT organization that helps gay people everywhere. And 3, it failed because it didn't get a lot of views. I guess this is what happens when you got that grifter brain, you know? It's all about the views. And if you don't get a lot of views, then you've lost.
5,000. Okay.
We don't care.
And
we don't
turns to junk. Guy, I'm getting cookies. That's a reference to the meme that I think it's a Stone Toss comic. To be honest with you, it's a meme around like what these woke corporations spend their money on. If you
No, that's actually not what the meme is about. The meme is signaling to something much more nefarious. Go ahead, show us.
Look
show
at
us
the
the
actual
meme.
tweet itself, they're just getting savage. Just go.
Oh, they're not going to show it to us. So there's a Stone Toss comic that shows people saying like, "Look, this is our new commercial," and it's like a black and a white person kissing, and then it says down below like burgers, and then they're like, "Well, what does this have to do with burgers?" And the guy's like, "Burgers," which is signaling to the fact that neo-Nazi scumfucks like Stone Toss believe that there is some kind of big, broad agenda to push this woke shit on top of us, usually from the Jews. That's what that's actually signaling about. That's why the original comic showed a white and a black person kissing, because what's the word? I don't know how to say it. But black and white people marrying, that's one of the things they're really spooked about, that they think is erasing the white people. And it's all because of the evil Jews that are trying to force this liberal agenda on all of us. That's what that's actually signaling to. But I'm glad that the quivering here found it very funny. That's good to know.
Finally, this ad is made. I wasn't sure what to do. I felt so guilty eating a cookie because I wasn't.
Oh, there's the ad. There's the comic right there.
One more burgers?
Yeah, see? Burgers? As if, oh, so you see, they are trying to push liberalism on all of us. It can't possibly be that it's culturally accepted and popular, like what you originally said. Now there's actually a deeper, big agenda to push this on us. Ooh. You're such a fucking dipshit, dude. I don't even know what to say about this guy. He's just a dipstick.
Thank you, highly addictive, very sugary, and unhealthy death trap cookie. FF for F.
Wait, what? If anyone knows about unhealthy and very sugary, I think you do, Quartering. But I guess the rest of his video is just him reading comments.
You're so far out of left field, y'all make cookies. This has nothing to... There's nobody supporting this.
Yeah, come on, guys. Wait.
Entire comment section is people dunking on them. So who is this for?
So nobody's supporting it, but they're just doing it for the advertisements. just, I like how he debunked his own claim from the beginning. That's really cute. Well, there's nothing else to say really about this other than, once again, the quartering has proven to be one of the most low IQ individuals possibly on this earth. In fact, I'm starting to believe that this little dipstick might unironically be the missing link. I think we've been looking for this guy for a long, long time, and I think it's because he's like partially still evolving, and that's why he kind of has like a chimp brain. That's the most reasonable explanation as to how any human being could be this fucking pathetically stupid. He's actually so dumb, I think he might need to be locked up in a mental asylum and then kept there, possibly even for the rest of his life. Like, he's a danger to society for multiple reasons. One, he might fall on somebody and crush them. Two, he's too stupid to probably know how to walk properly, which just raises that likelihood and raises that risk. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The quivering. The guy's so dumb, I would probably be able to hear a better take from a fucking pigeon. Congrats, pal. Congrats. All right, Butters has returned. So let's go ahead and have this conversation, and then I'll wrap up stream from there. Hey, Butters. Can you hear me here? Okay, if not.
Hi, sorry, I was muted. Hey, I can hear you. What's up?
I can hear you. What's up? You
Yeah,
sound
how are you
much
doing?
better. You sound much better now.
Yeah, I was like in a nearby park, and there was like a rainstorm, so yeah.
No worries, no worries.
I literally sat down on the bench in the middle of a rainstorm just to talk to you.
Well, I'm honored that you would do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I
So
respect your content.
let's kind of jump back into this, but let's try to give it a little bit of context because I probably won't include the first part since the audio is pretty bad. But I know we were talking earlier. You said that you believe that being transgender is a mental illness. And then from there, I tried to explain the difference between sex and gender. So do we want to just pick it up from right there?
Yeah, so we were talking about the differences between sex and gender, and how is gender is basically like what you kind of is like a role that you play.
It's a
yeah,
socially constructed identity. Yeah.
Although I believe that, well, they're not interchangeable. Like they're not, one is for sex and one is for gender. But I do believe that everyone should be this, like they should go for the gender that they're assigned at birth.
Why?
Or for the gender that's associated with their sex.
Okay, why?
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 Well,
Yeah, why should they do that? If they perceive
because
themselves as being differently, and especially if they're suffering from gender dysphoria, that raises the stakes a lot because now they have an associated mental illness with that problem or with their identity. And you have to go about fixing that. You can't just tell trans people to like stop being trans and just like forget the fact that they have gender dysphoria.
Yeah,
That
but the
doesn't
thing is,
happen.
but I think that most people misdiagnose themselves with gender dysphoria, and they confuse just having some feminine attributes does not mean that they are female. This is what I'm trying to say is that
right, or they're
having
not a
some
woman.
attributes, yeah, they're not a woman. So having different attributes from your gender, like what the gender that goes with your sex, even if you even if let's say a biological man has some female feminine attributes, does not make them a female.
Of course not. Yes. But again, we're not talking about sexual characteristics entirely. We're talking largely about gender dysphoria, which is the really big discomfort associated with the fact that you identify differently than what your biology is. Now, some trans people are actually comfortable just having a penis. Some trans people they identify as a woman, they present as a woman, they play the social role of a woman, but they also have a penis and they're completely comfortable with that. That's a thing. But the reason I usually bring up gender dysphoria is because for the vast majority of trans people, not all, but for the vast majority, they usually do have discomfort with the fact that their biology is different. And also they have discomfort from the fact that they identify differently than how society treats them as well. So if you're worried about people misdiagnosing themselves, that's not actually an unreasonable thing to be concerned about. So, for example, there's I've read about issues before where teenagers, for example, if they are online a lot with friends who have depression, they're more likely to believe themselves to have depression as well. So then we have to talk about, though, because I'll concede that that could be a problem. So then what's the next step? The step, or the answer actually, is we need to boost funding for gender clinics, because it's there where people go to find out from a certified professional whether or not they really have gender dysphoria.
I disagree with the solution.
How so?
I think that
Again,
the
gender dysphoria doesn't just
solution-
go away.
Yeah, but I disagree with the solution because I believe that the best solution to deal with this, which I believe is misdiagnosed gender dysphoria, is to homeschool or to basically avoid public schools, because generally most of the time people start being curious about being the other gender from going to public schools.
Well, hold on. Let's back up a second. That's just not true at all. Like, there are people that are trans and they've been homeschooled. There are also people that have been trans that have gone to public schools. But
how do you explain?
How do you?
Sorry.
Well, hold on. Wait. You said that people are misdiagnosed. Do you have any evidence for that? Like, I don't know if you understand this, but the process for being diagnosed with gender dysphoria is not exactly like an easy walk in the park. For example, before you can even like seek treatment, as in something to like puberty blockers, or if you're older, you know, hormones or something like that, you have to show gender dysphoria for the minimum of 6 months, according to the APA handbook. So, like, where's the evidence that this is being misdiagnosed? Because we're talking about going through multiple therapists and all getting the same diagnosis.
Well, I want you to explain the sudden boost in not just transgenderism itself, of people identifying with different gender, but also other forms of sexual identification.
Well, hold on, you're not answering my question, though. But I'm happy. I have an answer for that question. I'm more than happy to answer it. But you said that they're being misdiagnosed. You said they're being misdiagnosed with gender dysphoria. How are you arriving to this conclusion? Because that's not what's happening. In fact, usually it's harder for trans people to even acquire treatment because it's so difficult to get a proper diagnosis.
Yeah, but because, my answer is because the sudden boost in people identifying with different gender is unprecedented.
Yeah,
and
because
cannot be.
Well, hold on. There's a really easy answer there. This is because it's now more socially acceptable and there's more social awareness. So if you look at it, trans people have existed virtually forever. I can point you to trans people that have existed in the 1800s. People who identify differently with a different gender or suffer from gender dysphoria, they've been around forever. But now that we have more acceptance and more awareness, more people are comfortable presenting as a gender that they want to be. They're more comfortable living their lives more freely. I feel like this is a similar argument as saying something like, how come we saw skyrocketing marriage between white and black people after it was made legal? Like, of course, now that it's legal, now that it's becoming more socially accepted as well, we also see people who are engaging in that behavior more freely.
Okay, so you mentioned that there were trans people in the 1800s or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, I hold one of my beliefs is that history is more cyclical than linear. And there's basically a cycle where a developed nation will have, how do I say this? Will socially corrupt or deviate from what used to be normal. And then basically this cycle repeats itself. So yeah, I would believe what you said, that there probably used to be transgender people.
But what's normal
in the past?
What does normal mean? Isn't that a really
Normal
arbitrary standard?
Well, what is normal is to procreate, like you've done yourself, which I.
So you're making the natural argument.
Yes.
Okay. So one, No. We're not slaves to evolution, and we do not exist purely to procreate. By that logic, then women who get their uteruses removed are being like sinful or immoral or whatever. That's just not the case. Second of all,
I would make the argument, yeah.
okay, second of all, though, like, making an appeal to nature is not a good route. There's a lot of shit that happens in nature that is quote unquote normal, if that's how you're defining something being normal, that we as humans would recognize as being immoral. So rape is an example of that. Animals rape each other a lot, and I don't, last I heard, there's not really any such thing as like a talking lion, so I don't think that they're able to ask consent for the most part.
Yeah,
but we as humans recognize that rape is wrong because it does harm to other people.
Yeah.
So we're not just like little animals running around where our only goal is to procreate. I reject that notion.
Yeah, I guess but the thing is when you mentioned I don't think we're slaves to evolution. It's not that how do I say this? Yeah, I don't think we're slaves to evolution, but I think everyone should strive to procreate.
Okay, so what if so 1 in 4,000 women are born without a uterus?
Yeah.
So what happens to this person? Are they just going to have to live a life as being immoral?
No, they can just get a partner, get married, and that's it, as normal.
So, but there's no procreation going on.
Yeah, but it's not. You strive for it if you can.
So
but
you
don't
aim
have
to procreate, but you don't have to procreate. So what if there's a trans person and then they adopt? Like, we know for a fact that LGBT people are far more likely to adopt, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So isn't that like, that's not procreating,
Well,
but you're raising a family?
Yeah, well, everything I base all of my political opinions on is just based on living in the truth.
No, but you're not. Hold on, wait. You're not telling anything. Nothing you've said thus far is the truth. You told me that people are being misdiagnosed with gender dysphoria. You have absolutely no evidence of that. And now you're saying we exist to aim to procreate. This is completely untrue. And then, furthermore, why wouldn't you say then that we should all have a family? If you went that route, then we could say, okay, well, what's wrong with trans people having a family? Or what's wrong with gay people having a family?
Because a child being born with a mom and a dad is not the same as being born with 2 dads or 2 moms. It's not the same.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I guess we just disagree.
No, this isn't something that we disagree on. This is like you telling me you disagree that the world is round. So it's a fact, for example, that children raised by gay parents do just as well as children raised by straight parents.
Well, define just as well.
They do just as well emotionally, mentally, and education-wise. And they also tend to do really well economically as well, because right now adopting is expensive.
These are not the only metrics I would define as doing well.
Well, this is what the studies controlled for, and they found that they did just as well as their counterparts raised by straight parents. So you really have no evidence at all, just like the misdiagnosed thing, that kids raised by gay parents are worse off somehow. This is just not true. In fact, if there is any evidence of that, it's largely because of societal discrimination against LGBT individuals.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. Most of what my beliefs would be are not from. Okay, so look. So most of my beliefs, I would not like spend hours just researching this study or that study. It's mostly what I observe to be true in the world.
That's a very, very weak way of going about things. If we did that, then we would all be here. If we all applied your logic, we would all be believing the world is flat.
That's not true, because you can perform an experiment and prove that it is not flat.
So we can perform an experiment and see that children raised by LGBT parents perform just as well as their straight counterparts.
Yeah, but this is the thing. You're trusting that the person doing those experiments is holding good faith.
Yeah, and you're trusting that the people doing the experiments to show that the world is round is doing that in good faith.
No, because I can replicate that myself.
Really? How do you replicate the an experiment to show the world is round?
Well, you can just, I mean, you can't replicate. Sorry, I mixed being round with I did some experiment in school about gravity. That's a different one.
Right. So if we applied
yeah.
your logic, then we would be saying, well, I look outside. All right. I am looking.
Yeah.
I'm observing the truth.
Yeah.
And the world is very flat.
Yeah. Sorry, I just remembered the experiment. The experiment that you do to prove that the world is round, which is basically you hold a pencil against the sun like a couple of different miles away, and then the difference of the angle of the shadow, you can determine not just the shape of the Earth, but also the radius. I remember doing that like 5 or 6 years ago, and it just popped back to mind. So yeah.
So unless you yourself are able to replicate the results of a study, you're not going to believe it? Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Not all studies, but before I just accept any study, I would definitely.
Well, there's not just like one
Because
single study. There are multiple different.
That it has good.
Hold on. There are
faith.
multiple. Well, that's bullshit. Like you have no evidence that it's not done in good faith, and we're not talking about just one study here. We're talking about a plethora of information that all has the same results, showing that children raised by gay parents do just as well as children raised by straight parents. So for you to say, well, actually, I just don't believe that, that's honestly bullshit, and that basically just leads you to conspiracism. Thirdly, these studies I'm bringing up are oftentimes peer-reviewed, which means that even if, say, someone did do a study in entirely bad faith, it wouldn't pass the peer review process where other people look at it and say, hold on, this doesn't hold up, this doesn't make sense. I mean, if we want to go your route, then I hope you're never taking any medication, because I don't think you can replicate studies showing that certain medications are effective.
This is different.
Why?
Argument.
This is not different. This is
Because,
directly applicable.
Okay, so one of the things that you said,
please don't pivot away from this. I want to stay focused on this one topic.
Because you mentioned like 5 or different 6 points. It's hard to just.
We're talking about right now gay adoption, because we're talking
about
gay adoption because you said that people exist to procreate. And I think that it's a better process if you want to take it this way. You should say to have a family. They should strive to have a family.
Yes.
And so my response to that is, okay, well, LGBT people can do that also. And now you're saying no because the studies were probably biased?
No, because I believe, homosexuality, I believe, is a sin as well.
Okay, so you're coming at this from a religious perspective.
Well, it's not just from one perspective. I believe it is wrong on multiple levels. But we can
but
just
you realize
argue
that
on
you're
the-
saying that the studies you can't trust, but you're trusting like an ancient book. Like, I can't really reason with you when you're taking this approach. You're telling me that this peer-reviewed medical science and medical consensus, which indicates across the board that children raised by gay parents do just as well as children raised by straight parents, is probably biased, but you're trusting the Bible? Can you replicate anything in the Bible? Can you replicate like walking on water or parting the Red Sea?
Well, 2 things. One, I'm like in early 20s now, so between the ages of 15 and 19, I did not believe at all at the time. And it basically, my beliefs conclude me to believe. Okay, so let me get this. My beliefs conclude me to becoming religious. Not being religious makes me believe those things. The other way around.
So, because you hold one wrong belief, you're believing other things that are wrong?
Okay, so because I believe homosexuality is wrong, that I've become religious.
Okay,
not the other way around.
This is really bad. This is just, you're basically arriving to a conclusion and then post hoc justifying it. This is why your position is completely irrational. Because no matter what I tell you, you're still going to believe that being gay is bad. Because that's just what you want to believe. But you don't have any evidence for this.
No.
So when I give you evidence that shows that you're wrong, you're saying, well, the study is probably biased.
Being
I have a big study here too that is, I believe, a meta-analysis or a systematic review of over 79 scholarly studies. 79. And they all found that kids did just as well.
Okay, so I'm saying being homosexual is wrong, not because of not because I'm not just saying being homosexual is wrong because, oh, I'm religious, I believe in this book. No. I'm saying being homosexual is wrong because, one, you can't procreate. Two, you're probably harming yourself with the chances of catching HIV. So
Okay,
it's a
so you're bringing up
self-destructive
behavior.
behavior.
Arguments though that are you keep moving away from one argument to say something else, which is why I'm getting the vibe that you're actually just you don't like gay people and you're kind of grasping at straws. So first, I'd like to read this really quickly from Cornell University. Over 79 scholarly studies. Taken together, this research forms an overwhelming scholarly consensus based on over 3 decades of peer-reviewed research that having a gay or lesbian parent does not harm children. So there's that. So I don't know what the purpose of saying procreate is when gay people can still have families. If you want to talk about harming people, well, there are a lot of kids right now suffering who have been abandoned and want to be adopted, and gay people are more likely to do that and provide them with a loving, caring household where they can do way better and get an education and so on. That hurts people by you denying them that ability. And then to just really quickly address your HIV thing, the only reason that gay people have a higher risk of HIV is literally because they engage in anal sex. Straight people have the same risk of HIV as well because they could also participate in anal sex.
Okay, that was too many points to answer at once. Okay, I'm trying to remember what you said.
All right, I'll summarize really fast.
Okay.
You're saying that you don't think that gay people are good, and that's led you to being religious. And you keep giving me reasons as to why you don't think gay people are good, but all of your reasons thus far are not grounded in reality. So the first thing was you should procreate. Well, then I said, why can't we have a family? And you said having a family is good. And I said, so gay people can have a family, and all the available literature shows that there's no harm to children by having gay parents. And then you said that was probably biased.
Okay, so, well, you just attributed motive that I just don't like gay people, which is not true.
Don't.
Okay, let me just continue this. The thing about this is, so I have multiple few gay friends that I've talked to, and the thing that I see happen in common is I just always ask them, how did you find that you became attracted to the different, became attracted to the same sex? And most of them just told me they're not just born like that. Most of them told me it's always started with their porn exposure at like very young age. And the increasing sexual novelty over time led them to deviate from what is normal.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't care. This is anecdotal. That's like me saying, well, I have 3 gay friends and they all told me they were born that way. Second of all, I'm going to have to point to the research again, which shows that gay people are genetically predispositioned to being gay. It's anywhere between 8 to 27% genetic that they are gay. So it could be that maybe they had a predisposition and then were exposed to porn, and that's what sort of set things in motion because they were already more likely to be gay. That could be something, but this isn't proving anything, and you keep moving away from point to point. We have to get through one at a time. So I'm trying to stay on one topic, ideally. What is wrong with gay people adopting? Why is this a bad thing?
okay, I don't think that them adopting is necessarily like bad, but it's far from ideal.
Okay, why is it far from ideal?
Because they should procreate themselves rather than
But they're
adopt
gay.
someone.
They can't procreate.
I don't think people are born gay.
You keep saying I don't think this, I don't think that, but again, you're just saying things
People,
that you
okay, I'm gonna
think that
say
are
it
based
as a
on nothing.
statement rather than, because I know you disagree with what I believe to be true. So that's why I say I think this, I think
This
that.
isn't
But
me
okay, I'm gonna say it
disagreeing.
as a statement.
No.
People are not born gay.
This is not me disagreeing with your opinion. This is me telling you that your opinion is completely wrong. Again, this is like me saying, all right, look. Hold on, wait. I just want to tell you that I'm saying this as a statement, okay? I don't think that cars are real. Like, it doesn't matter if I think cars are real or not. Cars are real. They exist. So you just saying, I don't think gay people are born gay is meaningless. I don't care what you think. That doesn't mean anything. Gay people are not necessarily born gay, but they are born with a genetic predisposition to being gay. So yes, they are born with a higher likelihood of becoming gay.
Okay, I see. So you think, okay, so you believe that some people are born with higher disposition to be gay.
They are gay people. Second of all, there are even other studies that have shown that, like, if there are twins born and one twin is gay, the other twin is more likely to be gay, even if they're separated at birth, because there's a genetic component there. So when you say people aren't born gay, this is the equivalent to me saying, well, people aren't born white. People aren't born black. Like, this is a nonsensical argument.
I can get behind that if there's some people are genetically predisposed to being gay, but that only happens once they have exposure to pornography.
No, it doesn't only happen when they have exposure to pornography. You have no evidence of this other than 2 friends you talked to. Second of all, we could point to the fact that for a long time, people would try to use conversion therapy and convert gay people by exposing them to straight porn. So if it was just porn, why are they not able to switch back upon viewing straight porn? They tried this for decades and found that conversion therapy did absolutely nothing.
I don't go behind conversion therapy. I think that's nonsense.
I don't think you do, but I'm pointing out the fact that they have tried to convert gay people via porn, and it's never worked.
Okay, can you explain to me why in other societies that have stronger cultures, but they're weaker economically than Western countries? I've been to many different countries.
You're moving
and there's
away from
almost
this.
Yeah, but okay, I'm getting to the point. There's almost the rates they have of transgenders or homosexuality, all this type of sexual deviancy are much, much lower than they have at the West.
That's
So
part of
why
that is
is that?
because of the way that human beings survive. So obviously, if you are fighting every day to get a meal, you're not as concerned about your sexual orientation or your gender identity. However, it doesn't mean that sexual orientation or gender identity isn't real. It just means that your priorities are different because you're in a third world country. This is a really dumb argument. So I'm going to take us back to what we were saying before. You need to establish to me why it is bad to be gay. How does this do harm? Them not being able to procreate means nothing. By that logic, then it's bad for straight people to get married if the guy has a vasectomy or if the woman doesn't have a uterus.
I told you, because it's a self-destructing behavior.
It's not. You've not demonstrated that at all. You're just saying it. You're just saying things right now.
I told you 2 things. One, because okay, it's self-destructing for 2 reasons. One, you don't procreate, which is okay. I know you won't agree with this, but it's one of the reasons you're born.
That's not self-destruction.
Okay, can I just finish the 2 points and then you can?
Yes.
Because I just get confused. Okay, because when like you make many different points, I don't
okay. Go
remember
ahead.
everything you said, so I just remember the last thing you said.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The 2 points are, one, it's self-destructive because you don't get to procreate and have a family. I imagine you yourself you probably pretty happy person for having created a family, which I do think most people will be if they do and live the way they're supposed to be. And the second point is HIV rates. And you told me that heterosexuals are just as likely to get HIV. That's not true. There's a reason that most blood donors don't accept donations from homosexual partners, and that's because their HIV rates are skyrocketing higher than.
I think they've started to go down significantly. I think they used to be higher because of a couple things. Is one, the way that gay people just have sex, like using oral sex, for example, engaging in certain sexual behavior just raises the likelihood of you getting HIV. But I believe that that's gone down now quite significantly. So also, straight people can also get HIV. This is nothing to do that's intrinsic with gay people. So you saying it's a self-destructive thing, that doesn't add up. Then by that logic, having sex could be a self-destructive thing because there's not just HIV. You know, there's a lot of
promiscuous. Well,
there's a lot of STDs that you can get from
Yes.
all kinds of sexual engagements. You can
So,
get
yeah.
HPV, which raises your chance of getting cancer.
So your point is 100% correct. I do believe promiscuous heterosexual sex is also self-destructing behavior.
Okay, but then this has nothing to do with gay people. You're not proving
it
your
just
point
means
right now.
both
You're
are
saying
wrong.
they're not procreating like they're supposed to be. One, I don't know who's dictating what they're supposed to be. Second of
I
all,
told you-
you say they're supposed to have a family. This is just looping. Like you say they're supposed to have a family. I'm telling you right now that there's no harm done to children raised by gay parents, and your response to this is just nuh-uh. If
No,
anything,
this
it's
is
your
not it.
worldview that's really destructive.
Okay, so I said that homosexual sex is self-destructive. So you just told me that, oh no, heterosexual sex is just as destructive, and I said promiscuous heterosexual sex is destructive. Not like being committed to one partner.
So why aren't
So
you
yes,
arguing
I'm
against
saying both
promiscuous?
are bad.
Okay, but
I'm
why aren't
saying
you?
both are bad.
No. You don't. I don't think you understand. Why aren't you arguing then against promiscuous sex? That would be the argument. Not that gay people are bad because they have higher rates of HIV, which is because of a fuck ton of different reasons. So I really have no understanding as to why you're bringing this up in regards to saying being gay is self-destructive. At this point, your argument is just engaging in promiscuous behavior is self-destructive. And there's part of that I might even agree with. But that's not intrinsic to gay people. So this isn't an argument against gay people. You're making an argument against promiscuous sex. And somehow we've... Hold on, wait. Shh.
Yeah.
Somehow we've
Sorry.
managed completely to move the conversation again to all sorts of different things because every time I bring this up, you keep pivoting away because I think that you know you're wrong in this. What is wrong with gay people having a family? You need to tell me that. Especially in this case, mind you, if we're talking about gay people adopting, we're talking about committed partners. We're talking about a nuclear family raising a child.
Okay, so the point you're saying is what's wrong with two gay people having a family? Like adopting a child, basically.
Yes.
And there's nothing that hurts the two gay parents, but it is okay, so the reason I don't think it's the worst thing, but it's far from ideal because the child misses out on having a mother.
The
And you
child's
told
missing
me
out on
that-
having... Wait, stop. You're not making
Okay.
any sense right now. The child is missing out on having parents. The child is either in a foster care system or in a fucking orphanage. They want to be adopted. They want a family.
Yes, being adopted by gay parents is better than being in an orphanage, but it's far from ideal.
Okay,
There's
but
one.
no, it's not. You've not demonstrated that it's far from ideal. You
Well,
can't
you
demonstrate that. I'm able to demonstrate that children raised by gay parents do not suffer any kind of unique likelihood of risk. I'm able to pull up studies here from Sage journals which show that school outcomes of children raised by same-sex parents is completely fine. They're either comparable or better. And even a new study actually just found that they do better in school. Because if you're adopting, you also have more money, most likely. And it's being raised in an environment where you're more socioeconomically stable that leads to an overall benefit. So if the option isn't, here's a kid with a mom and a dad and the gay person's going to kidnap them, we're talking about a child who is orphaned, who has the opportunity to get or have two parents, and you're saying that that's less than ideal and it's not natural, yada, 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 but you're not proving that at all. Well, how is it less than ideal?
Okay, I think this comes to difference in worldview. Okay, I'm getting to the point, so just let me finish the point, please. So this comes to different in worldview is that you would believe any study you would see. And I wouldn't believe any study I see, especially...
You just believe in a 3,000-year-old book. Like, we can do this all day. Dude, like, and first of all, no, I don't just believe any study I see. And this is the problem, I think, with this conversation is I think you realize you're a little bit cornered here. There is no evidence that gay parents raising a child is of any harm to the child. In fact, it's usually a benefit, or it's not a harm or a benefit. It's just equal to kids raised by straight parents. You have no evidence. So instead of facing the fact that, well, maybe you're wrong, no, now you're going to say, actually, all the studies are biased? Do you think all 79 scholarly articles that were all peer-reviewed were all biased?
Okay, so my road of skepticism began 2 years ago when, okay, so look, so I don't know if I can mention this on your stream, but you know, like the medicine going around for the, okay, so
wait, what you can
I
mention
know,
what as long as it's not a violation of TOS, like a slur or something. What can you not say?
No, the jab,
the vaccine, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I can mention it. So you know, the reason I became very much skeptical of studies that you consider to be truth, like I can't think otherwise, they're like just fact. Okay, so the reason I became much more skeptical is because, you know, everywhere on the news you see safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. I know 2 people who died the day they got jabbed. So I become very skeptical of anything I read deemed to be fact online.
Okay, so if you read a study, okay. So first of all, that's a really bad argument because you don't know if they died from the vaccine. You don't know if that caused it. Even if it did,
in their 30s.
Hold on. I will concede for the sake of this argument, even though you have no evidence, that, okay, fine. They took the vaccine and then they died.
Send me the video, by the way.
I don't need a video. So sure,
Okay.
They took the vaccine and then they died. This is the equivalent of me saying I'm not going to trust any data because studies show that seatbelts are effective at stopping people from dying in a car accident, but I have a friend who got in a car accident and he was strangled by the seatbelt. So that means every bit of research is wrong? This is ludicrous. This is literally insanity right now.
Because, okay, look, so I wouldn't just believe your study that you sent me that says just having gay parents just as good, or like they do better than even having heterosexual parents, because there's a heavy incentive to promote.
You're doing it. You're playing into the conspiracism. And this is what happens when you're wrong and you don't have an answer, is rather than accepting the fact that there is a mountain of data that proves you wrong. No, there is a mountain of data that proves you wrong. And rather than just accepting that, you're now making up, you're making up bedtime stories to cope with the fact that you don't have any evidence on your side. You have personal anecdotes and a 4,000-year-old book of fairy tales, dude.
You assume me to be Christian.
You said you follow the Bible. I'm sorry. That's usually associated with
being Christian. I did not say that.
Did you not bring up the Bible?
I never mentioned the Bible.
What are you saying? You said that being anti-gay is what led you to believe in the Bible.
I never mentioned the Bible. I said in the book, I'm not Christian, I'm Muslim. I never mentioned the Bible.
Okay.
Never mentioned the Bible once in the whole.
I could have sworn you mentioned the Bible. Maybe
I said my faith or my book, and you just assumed it to be Christian because I'm assuming you debate with a lot of Christians.
Okay, sure. That's honestly, that's aside the point. Maybe you said that being anti-gay is what led you to be religious, and maybe I assumed it was Christian.
Yes.
But even
yes.
Okay, fine. It doesn't change the fact that you have zero evidence on your side. You keep saying like, yeah, well, you know, we're meant to procreate and have a family. And I'm explaining to you, cut and dry, how gay people can have a family and provide a better life for literal orphaned kids. And you're saying, no, because all the studies were probably wrong. Look, you're deluding yourself right now.
Look. If they adopt, I think that's great. That's better than being an orphan for the child. But for me, in an ideal society, the child shouldn't be in an orphanage to begin with.
There is no such thing as an ideal society,
There
dude.
should
We
be
have to
a
work with
higher
what we
standard
have.
But this is the thing. We don't have a strong family unit.
In my
Most
ideal
family-
society, people with your kind of delusional beliefs wouldn't exist. But we have to work with what we have to work with. So we can fantasize about the perfect society all day long. That's great. But again, we're now back to telling bedtime stories. I want to work with reality. Remember a second ago you said you like to base stuff on truth? Now you're telling me some kind of a fantasy. This isn't truth. So
This
why
has
is it
been
bad for
truth
gay people to adopt? Every time you fail to answer this question, you start to look worse and worse.
Okay. I said it's better for the children than being in an orphanage. That would suck more than being adopted by two gay parents. But it's still not as good as having a mom and a dad.
And you have no evidence of this. You're making stuff up. I've given you all the evidence to show that kids fare just as well, if not better.
Okay.
And you're just assuming it's bad. This is why we keep looping. Because I think you need to just concede that there's nothing wrong with gay people raising kids.
No, I don't think there's something with them adopting I don't think there's something wrong with raising kids. I think there's something wrong with being gay to begin with.
Okay, well, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, again, you're just living in denial.
I think I told you when I messaged you before I joined the call that I agree with you on pretty much nothing bar abortion, but I still respect your content. So
Okay, wait.
because
I don't
it's
want to hang
different.
up yet because
Yeah, that's
now
fine.
you're saying you don't agree with being gay in general. Is this because it's unnatural?
Going back to my point that it's self-destructing behavior, and
How is it
that's
self-destructing again?
the 2 points I made.
Don't bring
one,
up. No, we already went over the STD thing, and
Yeah,
we
what-
established that that's not intrinsic to
Yeah,
gay
you said
people,
why-
and that
why-
it's
you
just
said
about being
why-
promiscuous.
No, but okay, if both heterosexuals people and having both heterosexual and gay sex are both equally, like you can transmit just as equally, why is it much more common in gay societies?
There are various reasons. There are even reasons for, like, discrimination plays a role. So for a while, HIV was seen as nothing but a gay disease. And so if people had
still hold that
HIV,
belief.
they would be too... I know you do because you're crazy. But it was literally seen as a gay disease. So you had gay people who were afraid to seek treatment because they knew that by seeking treatment, they would also be outed as gay. Because of people that hold beliefs like you, because of people that make it harder and harder to exist as a gay person, you actually contribute to the rising AIDS rates, if you want to
Okay.
put it that way.
So you said people like me, I make it difficult for people to be gay or transsexual.
Yes.
To be honest, if someone tells me they're gay or transsexual, I don't go be like I don't care. Basically, like you live
You
the
do
way
care.
you want to. I'm very like libertarian style way of thinking. I don't care if I do think it's wrong, but I'm not gonna comment to you or tell you that's
But you have
your
no
way.
reason for thinking it's wrong. We have it's not natural. Was that one of your points?
Yes. that
Okay,
was
so
one.
we see there's over 1,500 animal species that engage in homosexual behavior. So it actually is very natural, my friend. Second of all, we already broke up the STD shit. There can be higher rates because of maybe higher levels of promiscuity, but guess what? A lot of the reasons there's higher rates of promiscuity is because gay people are discriminated against and are unfortunately put in environments where that kind of behavior is more common. Similarly, we see higher rates of drug use by LGBT people because they're more likely to be homeless and taken into communities that are less than ideal, in your words. So none of this has anything to do with being intrinsic to gay people. It's actually completely natural. There's a genetic predisposition to being gay, and kids raised by gay people do just as well, if not better. And you just don't have an answer for any of this.
I mentioned you my answer. You just not.
No,
you
your
don't
answer
agree
is
with me,
I
you're
don't
not
agree.
satisfied. No, that's not what I said.
Okay, what was your answer again?
Or why they can't have why can't homosexual parents adopt? Is that what you said? Why is it wrong?
Why? Yeah, what's like you keep saying, I guess you said it's less than ideal than having a mom and a dad, but you can't prove that either.
Look, okay, so I can spend a few hours to just show you different studies that will not agree with what what you hold, because
No, those studies are all biased.
there's studies that both support the viewpoints of the right and the left, and people just listen to like only their side and not the other side.
No, it's
And
actually
I
that
can
there's
just get you
several.
studies
No,
that say
no,
that it's not the same.
no, you can't. And if you do, then I would be more than happy to take a look at the methodology. And even if you did find one that said that, then we would have to compare for socioeconomic circumstances as well. Thirdly, that doesn't take away from the fact that there's over 79 scholarly studies, over 3 decades, peer-reviewed research that shows it's not harmful. You're like,
when you say
it's just no.
it
I don't
reminded
think you
me-
realize how contradictory you're being when you say that. Well, Hunter, your studies are biased, even though I have fucking 79 of them over 3 decades and they're all peer-reviewed. And then you say, well, I could probably like pick one study that doesn't agree with you. You're actually literally latching on to the biased study thing.
Look, so I think a little bit earlier, you mentioned that my opinions are crazy, but I think you forget the fact that the vast majority of the world hold the same opinion as me. And this is just a West thing. This is a new modern thing. Like,
Yeah, where people live their lives freely and happily.
I think you
Yes.
just don't realize that it's, I think you view it as progress, where it's more just cyclical cultural collapse.
This is the
And
equivalent of saying like there's a lot of places in the world that are racist, so I don't give a shit. Racism is still bad. Like, these are not arguments. I don't know where to go from here, man, because at this point you're just in denial.
That's all right. I mean, I'm not convinced by your argument. Oh, that's all.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not convinced by yours either.
That's
Because
all
you
right. I
didn't make
enjoyed
an
talking
argument.
to you.
But all right. Well,
Well, it's all right. Thank you so
Take
much,
care.
man. Thank you for giving us a platform. Thank you. Bye-bye.
okay. That was challenging. I got a PayPal donation here from Leonard Verch. Thank you very much for the $5 donation, my friend. Dropped by in the stream for the first time today after seeing your clips on TikTok. Based, I love you. C4NDLZ in chat. I wonder if you're still in chat. If you are, then I love you. Really liked your overall takes. Had a good time in chat. Have a $5. Hey, well, thanks very much for the generous support. I really appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Someone was like, can you stop being so aggressive, Hunter? No. Can you stop being so sensitive? When there are people that hold views that harm gay people and children who need to be adopted? Like, I'm not going to I don't appreciate being tone policed because you're too much of a snowflake to handle seeing someone with a bigoted belief get, like, challenged on their beliefs. Okay. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in to today's and also thank you Pixel Perfect for the $2 donation saying quarter pounder. No, Roscoe Ducks, I'm not debating you. I need to go pick my kids up very soon. So I'm done doing that. And also I've debated you 3 times and I already have a headache, so it's not worth my time. Maybe next time. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I will see you all next time. Stay tuned for the Friday stream. I'll be debating John Miller then. So yeah. Peace out. Love y'all. See you later. Go watch some Rose Wrist, okay? If you're on Twitch. I'm going to raid. Ready to raid. All right, let's go. See you later, guys.